Gotta be careful.
Exposed to might not kill for you.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll have cataracts.
Oh
One
yeah.
that chemicals.
I just had a
summertime.
checkup. No cataracts, thank God.
You never know. Okay, I'm all set.
All set, go.
Okay, the Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees regular meeting for Tuesday, October 10th, 2023 will come to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Monahan.
Here?
Trustee Kermy.
Here.
Trustee Buckley.
Here.
Clerk Borba here. Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Here.
Supervisor Heisey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Are the mics working?
I don't think so.
Mine's working.
Mine's not the greatest, but I've had better.
Yes.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance tonight. We have our special guest, State Senator Rosemary Baer. Could you lead us in the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Senator. And you have a shorter walk now to the podium for your legislative update.
Very much the front of the agenda. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And thank you all for welcoming me today. It's been hard getting the schedules to match so that I could come in and join one of the meetings of this amazing group of trustees here. And what an incredible group of people coming. And the reason that I was put off is there's always agenda items and lots of people. And so I won't take a lot of time today because obviously there's a lot of people interested in today's agenda too. And I don't want to stop that. But I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Rosemary Baer. I am your state senator. I'm in my second term, but Plymouth was a new part of the district as the lines changed. You all recall that episode at the beginning of the year. All of our districts changed and you all got the opportunity to meet new people. And it's been great learning about Plymouth and working with the folks here and just kind of finding ways that we can be of service. And I want to make sure you know how to reach me, reach my office if you need anything from us. So I thought I would give you a quick little update, just a couple of minutes on what's been going on. And then we can have some questions if we have time for that. And I'll give you my phone number. I'll give it to you twice. Right now, the office phone number is 517-373-2417. And I'll give it again at the end. So the biggest news right now in Lansing is that our new budget is just started October 1st. And we got the budget done over the summer. And it is a big budget. It's by far the biggest budget we've ever had, $84 billion this year, because we had an extra $7 billion from the COVID, the last round of the federal funds that we could use this year for the additional $7 billion. And that has been helping fund some of the infrastructure projects. So we're very careful when we do the budgets. One-time funds that come in from the feds or anybody else for that matter, one-time funds are not for long-term, right? We can't use them every year. We know we're not going to have it again next year, so we use it for infrastructure. You've noticed maybe a couple of road projects, perhaps. That was a big part of the budget this year. A lot of infrastructure, a lot of water infrastructure. There's a lot of water grants going out right now. And I know communities like Plymouth and Northville both. There are a lot of activities in the water space, so we're all looking and excited to help with grant opportunities if people need that. In this local government, we did actually have the good fortune or appropriate amount of begging to get a $10 million grant for Plymouth Northville, the 5-mile road stretch between Beck and Napier. So that's a nice new, it's going to be a restructure, the water, the whole thing, and a new stretch of road there. So that got allocated here. In this budget year, you'll see that work coming up in the spring, I presume. That's pretty exciting for us. And, from a more personal place, if you are retired, you'll know that starting next year, your retirement tax from Michigan is repealed. So it's about $1,200. Yep, it's a big deal. I know I do my mom's and mine and not too long from now, but as I did my mom's taxes last year, I'll be glad not to see that next year. That'll be great. So you all will see that. And if you are in one of those working families that gets an earned income tax credit, those low-income working families, we brought that back also. In fact, increased it a little bit more than what we had before Governor Schneider. So there's it's a federal program, and it's specifically to help low-income families that are working. And so we used to match it at 6%. Now it's at 8%. So we were happy to put that back. And that's going to help a whole bunch of people too. And that brings about $1,600 into a low-income family, which is enough to really make a difference. And it always goes for food and childcare and, necessary things. So that's a really good investment in our people. And I'll mention a couple of things on the local government side of things. We did increase the revenue sharing this year for all our communities, including the share that goes to townships. The other thing that's important is that we created a trust fund, and this is still going through the legislative process, but every year there's like this kind of a grab at how much money can we get out to the towns and the villages and the townships. And it's almost random. Sometimes it feels a little random. So what we're going to do is establish a trust fund so that it will be consistent. And local governments will be able to plan and have an idea of what their revenue is going to look like from the state. It does matter a lot. We also included, from a local perspective, a number of grants for small businesses, but also the legislation that's passing through right now. We just passed it through the Senate. Small business property tax credits, along with the money to make the local governments whole. So we created a fund to make sure that whatever it is that the small local businesses aren't going to pay in property taxes, not punishing your town for that or your township for that. You're still going to get the money, but it'll come through the state instead. So a trust fund to do that. A lot of water grants. We have stormwater management utility coming up shortly. That's a piece of legislation we've been working on a long time that will be running through the system this year. And some other things like how to keep from getting sued when the lake levels adjust due to weather and you can't keep up with the laws. So things like that, trying to help out our local governments stay steady, try to avoid things that actually cost a lot of money. It's interesting, when we sue our own local government, we pay for that, right? If you sue the township, your taxes are going to pay the township for that. So you pay the cost of the court, you pay the cost of the actual, whatever the resolution is if they lose. So in the end, we all lose when we sue our own communities, right? The better answer is, let's build the structures, let's build this in a way that we don't have those kind of lawsuits happening. So that's, we're really focused on that. I was excited to be on the local government committee this year, for this session, these 4 years. And already we've been able to see a difference. I think we'll see a lot more over the remainder of this session. So I can talk for a long time about a lot of other things we're working on, but we want to have some questions instead?
Well, Senator, we might take a couple questions. We have a pretty full agenda here
Yeah, I know
tonight.
you do, yeah.
I do want to take the opportunity, though, to reiterate and thank you for the $10 million that we received for the widening and strengthening of 5 Mile Road. That came at a very critical time because, as we know now, we have been selected by NEL Hydrogen for the hydrogen battery plant. That is a nationally recognized project. They are already making their permit applications with the township, and that will be a 500,000 square foot, $400 million project that will create 513 new jobs for Southeast Michigan. So that road is part of that critical infrastructure that we need to make that project a success, and many of the others that are contemplated for the 5 Mile corridor.
We're excited about it too, I will say.
Pardon
me? We are all excited about that.
Oh, absolutely,
Also,
yeah.
this is, the idea of the tech center, about the MITC, the idea of building something and preparing to be able to attract a company from Norway to come here to do clean energy work with hydrogen. It's very exciting, and it's really nice to see Plymouth Township be a part of the future.
Absolutely.
It's very exciting.
Mr. Kermey has a question.
I have two questions. One is Senate Bill 411, 12, and 13 were a surprise to us that have something to do with gambling and horse racing. You may not know about them, but we'd like to be more updated on it. It was a surprise that this board brought to us by a resident that these were being considered to expand gambling in Plymouth Township potentially. Second is with the UAW strike, what is your read on revenue sharing effect?
And the UAW strike. Oh, because of
Because
the,
people don't pay income tax and business and you lay off people, that kind of thing. What will be the effect for this 1 month of the strike?
I don't know that. That's a good question, but I think that would be a calculation, would take a little bit of work to do. Do you know the answer?
Yep, no.
Oh, okay. Obviously, the longer the strike goes on, the greater the likelihood of a real financial impact on everyone. I don't think we know the answer to how much that will be on Plymouth Township. I don't know.
I'm not worried about Plymouth Town, just the whole state, how big the pot is going to be affected.
It wouldn't even impact until 25 anyway, because it would impact this year's income taxes, which are, it would be 25's budget, not 24.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It won't be immediate.
Shortfall in 2023, the state will make it up until in 2024, there won't be a cut.
Why would there be a shortfall?
Because people don't pay income tax when they're laid off, when they're on strike.
So the state
You
is,
ever heard of that?
the state is unlikely to make up a drop in income tax because of a strike
What,
at
you
a
don't think
private
it'll have an
company.
impact, is that what you're saying? If that's the case,
It wouldn't
that's why I asked
impact
the
until
question.
25.
Pardon?
It wouldn't impact until budget year 25.
It would be a while before you'd see it, but
Yeah.
it also is
Okay.
not something that we're going to be able to make
I
up.
think
So-
we just did budget 24.
So
Yeah.
John Stewart has a question.
Go ahead, John.
Senator, as a former state representative of 6 years, an attorney in Wayne County for 45 years, and a trustee here for 7 years. But when in public office, I always voted my district. I wanted to say that. I commuted my 6 years. 90 to 100 days of the year, you are in session, on average. 275 to 6 mile and up, 67 miles. Will you pledge to vote your district and listen to the constituents?
I do. I actually do all the time. I'm constantly talking to people, asking what they think about things. We are going through a process right now, for example, in looking at changes in pay leave. And that has an impact on our businesses, right? So I've talked to your chamber, I've talked to a lot of different I actually went to the Plymouth Chamber, we did go to Plymouth Chamber meeting actually, but I've talked to the leadership of different chambers around the district. Yeah, I pledge to do that and continue to do that.
So you're pledging to vote your district?
Yeah. My district is big though, it's not just Plymouth.
Right, right. Well, what is the northernmost city township in your district?
The district's shaped like an L. I should have told you what it does involve. It starts here in Plymouth Township, Plymouth, Northville Township in Northville, Novi, Walled Lake, Commerce, and then Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield, Orchard Lake, Kegel Harbor, Sylvan Lake. I think that's all of them, yeah.
Pretty big.
So it's kind of a really interesting mix. Actually, one of the most fascinating things about this district is there are 56 native languages spoken in my district.
Thank you.
Let's just, anybody just with a quick state-related question? Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, hello, thank you for coming.
You gotta come up.
Did you answer?
No one
Well,
will
no,
hear
let's
you.
just.
No, the answer was
let's just do
we
it here.
can't make up any difference.
We gotta.
I know about Mr. Kermey's question about the legislative issues related to the racetrack. I didn't hear.
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to do some research on it. I'm unfamiliar.
out there.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? All right. Okay, Senator, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate
And I'm
it.
happy to come back and chat about
Yeah.
the racetracks.
That would be great.
Would you give your phone number again?
Oh, yes, thank you. It's 517-373-2417. And you can also go to senatorbayer.com. That's our website. And there's a lot of information there. You can sign up for the mailing list. We send out mail every couple of weeks to kind of give you updates and opportunities. We just recently had a big senior summit. It was in Novi. We do coffee hours. We've been down here a number of times, and we just keep traveling around the district and seeing as many people and listening as much as possible.
Okay.
So feel free to call anytime. Thank you.
Senator, don't go away. Come on up here. And Chief Conley, I'd like you to join her. Because we have one more item for today, and Senator Bayer can help us.
Okay.
Recognize Fire Prevention Week. It's Fire Prevention Week nationwide, and especially here in Plymouth Township. We have a special proclamation, don't worry, I will not read it all. But it's a very important kickoff for us because Saturday here at Fire Station 1 is our annual Fire Station Safety Open House. And that is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., rain or shine. I know the weather looks a little iffy for Saturday, but we'll be open, and hopefully we'll have the U of M flight helicopter here as well. But Chief, I would just like to present that to you, and Senator Bear, if you just want to give him a handshake, that would be awesome.
Yes, my husband, you want to go to the fire prevention? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. Come on by.
Thank you.
All righty. Item E is approval of the consent agenda.
Approval of the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the agenda. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Supervisor, I move for the approval of the Tuesday, October 10th, 2023 agenda.
Motion is made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second?
I'd like to take one item off to discuss it.
Oh, that's,
D2C.
we're doing the,
Yeah,
just the
this is-
agenda
this is
now.
just
Oh,
a
the
regular
consent agenda.
No, we're
not
doing the
on
agenda
consent.
first.
I thought we were too, so don't worry. This is just a regular agenda. Motion's
okay.
made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Monahan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, now, item E, approval of the consent agenda.
I'd request that D2C be brought off for discussion and an individual vote.
Okay. Anything else in the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on that.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk?
I move for the approval of the consent agenda for Tuesday, October the 10th, 2023, minus item D2C.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second? Second by Treasurer Dorchevitz. I believe we will need a roll call on this.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Trustee Stewart,
Yes.
Trustee Monahan,
Yes.
Trustee Kermy,
Yes.
Trustee Buckley,
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, let's move on now to item D2C. This is the salary adjustment for the Deputy Finance Director.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
As you know that our former finance director left the beginning of March. And since that time, our deputy finance director, Carol Rashan, has done a wonderful job in not only getting everything ready for the audit, but also the budget presentation. And this position was vacant until September the 12th, where our new finance director, Ms. Cutie, has taken the office there. And so she is, Ms. Roshan is also helping her, bring her up to speed for that important position. And because she did all of that work very well, cooperating with all the department heads and getting everything ready for the audit and the budget, we feel that she deserves additional compensation for that work.
All right, I have a couple. I think she left April 2nd.
No, March.
No? You sure? All
Yes.
right. Second, this position is typically in a bargaining unit. Is she in a bargaining unit?
No, this is not in the bargaining
It
unit.
was for a long time.
But it hasn't been for
It
several
hasn't been.
years.
Okay. Now I understand. And this is unbudgeted, of course, right?
Well, no, there's money in the budget because remember you had a person making about $105,000 a year that didn't receive pay for 6 months. So we have an additional $50,000 or so left in the budget.
Okay. My concern is that we have already set a regular precedent. When somebody's boss is ill or out or quits, you increase the pay of salaried employees. That is not a traditional thing. I know it is in the fire department when they fill in, but they're a bargaining unit. So I really think we're moving out here on some ground that everybody's going to expect this from now on.
Well, I appreciate your concerns, but we did this with the assistant police chief when our chief Terrington was suffering with cancer. And then we also did it with Amy Hammy when Mark Clinton was ill with a stroke. And so we've done this before.
Right, you
It's
just made my
appropriate.
point. We've made it a policy almost by
Well,
de facto.
Well, this way, it's a one-time event, and I'm glad that you've brought up the fact that she deserves a raise, and so we'll be considering that in the first part of the coming year. So she certainly deserves a raise in addition to this. So thank you for bringing that up.
What are you talking about? I didn't say she needed a raise.
Yeah, you said salary adjustment.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Jerry, you're
Okay. Any other questions?
off your rocker.
Any
I didn't
other-
say that.
Any other questions on this item? All right, I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-10-84, authorizing a one-time salary adjustment of $10,000 to Deputy Finance Director Carol Rochon, along with $765 in Social Security and Medicare, and $1,500 in deferred compensation. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Clerk Vorba. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
No.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Excuse me a minute.
Yeah.
Is my mic on?
Yes.
Can
Yeah,
you
I
guys
can-
hear me
I can
out there?
hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're at the public comment phase. What I'd like to do tonight to expedite things and to focus our attention on the SPARS greenhouse issue. I think most of you are here tonight on the SPARS issue. So under public comment for right now, it would be anybody with a non-SPARS related comment, okay? And then when we get to the SPARS item, we're going to have a presentation by Laura Haw, our planner. We'll probably have some comments by the developers, and then we'll take public comment at that time, okay? But the same rules apply, 3 minutes, and I have a little timer here. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but I will let you know when that happens. So at this point in the agenda for public comment, it's anything that is not related to SPARS.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, you want to say something right now?
Yeah, I do, because all these people will be gone by the time I get to speak.
Oh, okay.
I just want to apologize for not being here 2 weeks ago. One of the trustees gave me, not even a birthday present, gave me COVID. So I'm one of the high-risk patients, so it took me a bit to get over it, and I'm still getting done with that. But my point is telling you that is that if you do think you have COVID, this is a very high-spreading disease now. We're seeing a lot of it in the pharmacies, a lot of Paxlovid going out, and it's just really not something to be toyed with, okay? That's your public service announcement.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. My name's Dale Bernhardt. I'm against the gambling site, and this is a wonderful site
Dale, could you
to
please
see.
address the Board of Trustees?
Thank you
You know,
for
we're
coming.
not here to give public speeches.
Okay, thank you.
Just address the board. You know the rules.
I gave you quite a few handouts, and one of them is the list of issues presented to the trustees board.
Thank you.
And what I'm trying to get across here is that Mr. Vorba and Mr. Heisey have said in the past that, you know, we only talk about crime and traffic. Well, that's not really true, but let me get a point across. Crime and traffic is very important to us, and we know that it's an issue. And we support all of our facts with statistics, and we bring them up front. Now, and the team have brought up over 40-plus issues in 6 months with this gambling facility and racetrack. So I just want everybody to understand that we are quite diverse with all our issues, and they are all valid. The second I'd like to bring up is the Hometown Life article, and it's a May 2nd, 2019, if you would look at it. And Mr. Heisey stated, the kind of thing we're trying to do along 5 Mile, first of all, nothing radical, is pretty much of a continuation of what you already see now between 5 Mile and M14 east of Beck, a type of corporate office park with high-tech and research-type businesses moving in. We still have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but the early signs are promising. We've had people approach us who wanted to put things like horse racing, baseball, you name it, on that land, but we don't want to do anything crazy. I honestly expect this to be a 30-year project, but once it's done, it's going to be something special. So my question is, what changed? A couple years ago,
COVID.
no, that's not the answer.
Well, then you're not in
and
the
you
real
know
estate,
that
you don't
that's
know
not
the real estate
answer.
business in Southeast
No, it
Michigan.
is not the answer.
So,
No.
You just don't like my answer.
No,
It's the
no,
same-
no.
It's the same thing every other week,
The gentleman
sir.
from MITC
Okay.
said it was not the answer, so you need to go back to the planning commission meeting and find that, okay? You can sit and smile, but it's the
Okay,
truth.
well, you
He
just don't
says
like
it's
my
not
answers.
the reason, that there is going to be 8,000 people in those buildings along 5 Mile. So my question is, why would you go 180 degrees different, a crazy racetrack, to let's do a gambling facility? So what's
Well, we have private property rights in this country, and
Oh,
we
here we
also have a substantial change in economic and land use conditions in the United States.
I'll rest my case.
I'm
That's
giving you
not
I'm just
valid
giving you
at
my
all.
answer. I know you don't like it, you never
Well,
do,
it's not the
so.
right answer.
Where are the petitions, by the way? Where are the petitions?
You signed a petition.
I did not, and that is absolutely untrue.
You absolutely did.
So
You
somebody
submitted a
obviously
petition.
has
You-
doxed me, like
And I know
has
what you're
been done
trying
in
to
the
do.
past.
You're trying to dismiss me.
I
You're
want the
trying to change
petitions.
this politics 101.
People
what you're
sign
trying to
petitions,
use.
people sign petitions in good faith because they expect that their name is going to be
No,
presented to
you
the
don't know
governing
that.
body.
You're making
Not
that
to
up.
be used for a political database for you.
Absolutely
That's
not.
exactly what's happening.
For
Then
me?
Then show the petitions. Petitions are a time-honored tradition that go
No,
back
not
to the
true.
Magna
Everybody
Carta,
knew-
to ancient England, where people could say to the government, this is my concern and I need you to address it. You described this as a poll, that you wanted to poll
No, I
the
didn't
public.
have- never
Yeah,
said it
'cause
was a poll, said it was a survey.
I'll pull, oh, it's a survey, it's not a poll.
It's a
Okay,
survey,
we can
correct.
dance on that
And it
that
was a
pin all night
survey,
long.
the
So if you
opposition-
have 1,500 signatures, which you claim to have,
We
then
do.
based on your survey, then 26,500 people, I guess, are in favor of the racetrack, right? That's your logical conclusion?
No, actually, we have a tough
Yeah.
time getting the message out
Be
because you
careful,
guys
yeah.
don't send the
Just-
message out about
Your
the
logic
racetrack.
is deeply flawed. Present the petitions, and we would love to see, we would
No,
love to see
actually,
the
the
names.
answer is no.
Well,
You will not get those
Then
petitions.
the
But I
petitions.
tell you why.
Then your petitions were circulated disingenuously. Then you circulated
no.
disingenuously.
We never, ever
People
said
signed
that those were
petitions
going to be used for
expecting that to be
referendum.
sent to the
Nope,
government, not
it
for
was
your
to
private
gauge
survey,
the
a private
opposition
poll.
to the racetrack, and we
Good, nice try.
understood
Nice
and
try.
we gave.
Time's
Well,
up.
you
Okay.
started it.
All right.
No,
You
I
started
can
it.
do that
You want to
you
ask
do.
questions. You wanted to ask questions, and you're getting answers. So there
I
you go.
didn't ask that question. You asked that
Oh,
question.
okay. All right.
And it was my 3
I've been very
minutes.
generous with the
Next.
time. Mr. Zantop.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned, I actually lived on a farm, and we had horses out in Moline, Illinois. So I lived out there for about 4 years. And I have a love for horses. About a week ago, I sent a letter to the board, 12 pages long, of horses that have died. Not all of them have died on the track, but some of them died in their stalls. I don't know, there's got to be over 100 of them. And so I get this reply from Mr. Heisey. Oh, shoot, I'm hoping this was the petition that you, Charlie, and Estelle have been working on. I'm not working on any. I don't have the petitions. And I don't like it that you got.
Send us emails claiming that you do. You sent us maps.
Wait a minute.
You sent us maps.
What?
You've sent us maps of people who signed the petitions. You've sent us emails.
I did not send them.
Well,
I
I'll
posted
dig them up for you.
They were given to me. But it's really heartbreaking that it was so cold, all these horses died, and this is the comment you have?
Okay. Thank you. All right.
My name is Ann Kozal, and I am a 23-year resident of Ridgewood Hills. I'd like to clarify on some of the issues for the racetrack. First, the distractions. You say the racetrack opposition is dark money, rhino libertarian activists, the tree ordinance gang connected to Showstack and organized by an opponent to create a campaign database. Not true. The truth is only two characteristics unify the massive opposition. We are your constituents, and we don't want the racetrack. You say, how'd you like the prisons? The truth is, this is about current community liabilities, not ones long since demolished. You say, turn in the petition signatures. But the truth is, according to the American Bar Association and the state of Michigan, because this petition is both online and not ballot related, there are, quote, no legal requirements for a public purpose petition. They do not always follow established civic or political process. They are simply effective at raising public awareness about an issue. Closed quote. Therefore, there is no legal obligation or expectation to release the signatures for this particular petition type. So please stop with these false accusations, intimidations, and irrelevant distractions and answer the concerns of your constituents. The concerns. You say the racetrack is a financial gain, but the truth is harness racing is dying, 78% attendance drop over 30 years, current revenues below COVID levels, 4 locally failed racetracks, Wayne County stuck with $36 million debt because of it. Will we be next? You say the revenue will lower our taxes, but the truth is our taxes are already some of the lowest in the area. We will get no revenue for 10 years, and the municipal cost for the racetrack will increase. Let high tech lower our taxes. You say the state of Michigan gave $10 million for the 5-mile road repairs, but the truth is millions more will be needed for traffic congestion at Ridge and 5 intersection and dramatically increased traffic along Ridge Road. An accurate, updated traffic study is needed. You say the racetrack fits in the master plan, but the truth is you have simply rebranded the racetrack as a PUD in a behind-the-scenes shell game to work around the MITC zoning requirements. You say it benefits the community, but the truth is one soccer field in the middle of a horse racing track surrounded by manure and stalls for 90 horses, contaminated land, and a parking lot full of drivers under the influence of alcohol served at this establishment are not community benefits. They are unaddressed health and safety concerns. You say there's no gambling here, but the truth is pari-mutuel betting is gambling, already part of the racetrack plan, and 3 gambling-related bills working through the process suggest there will be more. Add in harness racing dying out, and the only 2 logical conclusions are 1, the racetrack will fail, and or 2, that gambling at this site will increase to keep the project afloat. You say the owners of this land deserve due process. We understand that. The truth is, township taxpayers deserve due diligence. Your constituents have been bringing these issues to your attention for 6 months, and you have provided neither answers to our questions nor reliable data to support this project. When you continually distract from the real issues, ignore the concerns of your constituents, prioritize an out-of-state campaign contributor,
we need to wrap
use
it up.
rebranding and shell games to cram this down our throats,
We need to wrap it up.
you lose credibility.
We need to wrap it up. Thank you.
Sure.
My name is Nancy Rumlawi. I've been a resident of the Township of Plymouth for 23 years or more. My thinking is, regarding the horse racing track, is what does this new hydrogen company that's coming in from Norway think about the idea of this racetrack? And if our board isn't saying what we want to hear, then maybe we should be addressing our concerns to this company directly, since they are going to be investing $530 million in our community. I think their opinion might count for something. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ron Hogue. I'm a 40-year resident of Beacon Hill. And I don't know if you know it, but I'm against the racetrack. There's a recent study that was conducted in Oregon regarding the impact of historical horse racing machines on Oregon, specifically the lottery there, as well as the tribal gaming. And some of the findings from that study were, it was conducted by Econ Northwest, and the objective was to determine the impact on Oregon. Since 2000, betting on horse races has been declining at an average of 4% per year when adjusted for inflation. For all intents and purposes, historical horse racing machines are slot machines. The premise behind installing HHR machines is to help horse racing by using some of the money they bring in to pay for racing operations and purses. In states where HHR machines have been introduced to attract more wagering on horses, betting on live races continued to decline. In response, HHR manufacturers changed their systems to behave exactly like casino slot machines. As some states became comfortable with HHR machines and wanted more revenue, they changed the laws to allow slot machines and now have casinos at racetracks. Mechanized gambling drives out horses. It's far more efficient, far more lucrative. Slot machines will not save the horse industry, they will replace it. So how does this relate to Northville Downs? According to the owners of Northville Downs, they have been working for 25 years to expand gambling at the racetrack. Phase 2 of the initial proposal that Northville Downs presented included a 53,000 square foot gaming building that would house up to 1,500 historical horse racing machines. Interestingly, Michigan Senate Bill number 411, which was discussed about 4 hours ago in Lansing, references this industry, and specifically, the bill is targeted specifically to the lone remaining racetrack in Michigan. And one of the elements of this bill is the racing commissioner shall issue an amended license to conduct simulcast wagering at a temporary facility to a race meeting licensee. That would be Northville Downs. It cannot satisfy the live racing requirements. Just about finished.
Okay, wrap it up.
The race meeting licensee is, if the race meeting licensee is building a new facility that is not ready to host live racing, the temporary facility is located in the same municipality. They can actually initiate gambling there with no race track.
Okay.
So if that passes, maybe they can build it in the parking lot here at Township Hall.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you.
Senator Bayer knew nothing about it, apparently.
Next, anybody in line here or no? Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Diane Bellowis, and I've lived in the township 30 years. I'm not a politician or an attorney. However, I've been told by Bob, our treasurer, who is both, that nothing can be discussed about the racetrack because it's under negotiation. Well, the UAW is currently under negotiations, and they were still able to disclose what the union is seeking. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but at least we know what they're asking for in their contract. However, our small community board can't even let us know what they are seeking in the community benefits package. And do you know why? Because our supervisor has defined himself and isolated himself with the issues of the racetrack casino. I've been told that even our own trustees don't know what's going on with negotiations in this matter. We elected a board of 7 to represent Plymouth Township. We didn't elect you, Kurt, as the sole decision maker on this issue. This whole racetrack has been behind closed doors issue from the very beginning, and residents and apparently even trustees haven't had a voice in all of this. The land was even purchased with plans to bypass current zoning laws. It's time for this board to do the right thing and stop being puppets for our supervisors' dreams of political glory. You are here to represent your constituents and no one else. And I have one thing for you, Kurt. I sent you an email, which you never responded to. Back in February, you went before the Planning Commission and presented your quest for this racetrack. You stated that it was only the second time in 7 years you went before the Planning Commission. My question to you is, what was your first time? That was what you did not respond to.
Okay. I'll respond eventually. Your email was full of insults and character assassination, and so it made me kind of, I had to put it on the back shelf, but I'll get to it eventually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show
That's
everybody
it.
the original email. Really nasty.
Kurt, since the question was asked, did you have the negotiations with Carlo last week? It was scheduled for
Yes.
October 2nd?
Yeah, we met with them on
You've had
October
that.
2nd, yes.
And when will you debrief us on what the status is?
I'll be happy to do that, if you.
You're going to do it on a one-on-one? Is that the way it
You
is?
can do
Or
it
we're going
that
to
way.
do a closed session?
You can do it that way. I don't think we're ready for a closed session yet, because that would involve an attorney opinion, and I'm not sure if we're not really at that point yet.
Because then we could have some input
Yeah.
on negotiating strategy.
Well, and you have had, I mean, despite what we've heard, I mean, you're
I've
not,
seen it
you're not
when I
shy.
ask,
I mean,
yeah.
and you ask questions, and I answer them to the best of my ability, and I've taken input from all of you at one time or another on the community benefit agreement.
Do you have a confidentiality agreement with them that forces you to not disclose to the board the details?
No, but it's because the community benefit agreement is it's a negotiated contract, and if we were to do that as a group negotiations like that are unprecedented. I've never seen that with labor. Labor agreements that we have are always confidentially negotiated, and this
But
is very
strategy
similar.
and negotiating
Yeah, but I
strategy can be
think we've.
discussed.
I mean,
with
but
sure,
I think we've had that. I've sent you guys emails. They're
I've received emails, and you
They're
have too.
attorney-client privileged, and we've sent you emails. I've updated you frequently on where we are. I'll be happy to provide you with the latest update via email, attorney-client privileged, but things are moving are moving forward, frankly, and so whatever I give you may be
Outdated.
it may be outdated within a matter of days or hours, but things are moving along.
So remember when I asked about having them agree to provide their own security, not our police force, like Northville,
Yeah.
their police force is paying for their security and escorting bank deposits.
Right.
I don't want to do that. That will raise our taxes because we gotta hire more men.
No, it's not gonna raise taxes, and I know Chief Nytel has addressed that issue with the chief in Northville, so, we'll,
Just for everyone's notice, he has been telling the board what's been going on. It's just that there's some attorney-client privilege, and we can't disclose those things. But the board is
Anyway.
well aware of what the negotiations have been going on.
okay, so we're gonna move on, okay, is this horse-related? No, wait a minute, is it SPARS related? Huh?
Just a statement. He
Okay,
wants to
okay,
make
that's
a
okay,
statement.
all right. I'm trying to.
With all due respect to you, I want to correct something you said. You said 26,000 people votes, and you said 1,500 only went against it. I don't know we had 26,000 people vote. I don't think children and babies vote. So what's the real number of the people vote? That's what you have to say to the people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
24,100 registered voters.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else on non-SPARS related issues? Hearing none, then we're going to move on to the SPARS greenhouse presentation. So what we're going to do is Laura Haw is our planner, and she is going to walk us through the sequence of events that have brought us to this night, and then we'll have the developers come forward. What I want to emphasize is we are not voting on anything tonight, okay? This is informational for the board because we've heard a lot about this project, It went to the Planning Commission. Laura will explain that. And then we'll have some questions from the developers, and then we'll take public comment.
Thank you. Evening, trustees. Trustee Dershowitz, could I switch?
Yeah,
The
oh,
screen.
I thought,
What's on the screen is the applicant's presentation.
Should be coming on. There we go.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. All right. The applicant, as was just mentioned, is here this evening, and after my presentation, they're going to give some specifics on the site itself. But what I really wanted to run through is the process and make sure that we're all on the same page with what's being requested of the township at this point in time. And I'd also just like to reiterate that this is discussion only. There's no action requested by the board this evening. So just to familiarize ourselves, the subject site for redevelopment contains 5 parcels that are outlined there on the screen. These 5 parcels equal approximately 5 acres in size. And this is located, of course, on the west side of Lily Road, north of Joy. It's presently occupied largely by the Spars Flowers and Greenhouse. But there are also 3 single-family detached homes on varying lot sizes.
Can you point to those?
excuse me.
Yeah, we just need somebody to either shut the
Close the door.
doors, or we've got to stop the chatter out in the hallway because we can hear it. Either way,
Just pull.
or a combination of both.
Just pull, it'll come. You don't need it, you just.
Yes, thank you. Those are the 3 single-family homes, and 2 of the parcels are occupied by
Is the one on the
Spars.
corner?
No, that is part of Spars.
All right, there's a house there?
No.
No.
No, that's Spars, where the red dot is, that's Spars. And then there's 2 single-family homes, and then 1 longer parcel there at the north, that's a single-family home.
So what about where I have the dot right now, Laura?
Single
What's that?
family.
That's a single-family home.
All right.
And it goes all the way back.
And then that's a vacant lot?
No,
No,
There's a home on that,
there's a home on
The
that. So
vacant
there's
lots
3
are-
homes.
yeah.
correct.
Okay.
The corner just is largely vacant. It contains some of the outdoor equipment from Spars.
Who owns the 3 homes right now, to the best of your knowledge?
That information I don't have at hand.
Okay. Does the developer own any of these homes?
The developer would either own those or have a purchase agreement on them. I
Okay,
can't
you
tell you
don't
that
know
right now.
for
He has
sure.
an
Okay.
executory interest.
Okay, I got it.
So what the applicant proposes to do is to demolish a portion of Spars and improve the greenhouse, to demolish the 3 homes, and then construct several mixed-use buildings that would contain some local serving retail and office, apartments, and then, of course, there would be the flower shop remaining. And the applicant's going to talk more about the specifics of that. I want to explain the process in 2 different ways. The first is understanding the zoning map. So on the screen right now, the far left column, this shows the current zoning. The site is highlighted in that red outline.
Is it a non-conforming use?
The greenhouse is a non-conforming use today, correct? All these parcels are zoned the R1 single-family residential, which does not allow for any commercial. So the greenhouse being a commercial use, that means it's a non-conformity. The applicant is proposing the middle column there, to do a conditional rezoning to the C2, the general commercial district. So it's shown in pink.
And you're going to define what conditional rezoning means?
Yes, and this middle column is the step that we're at tonight, and this is a very important step, because in order for them to request the mixed-use development that they need a PUD. And you cannot do a PUD on residential land. So in order to get to that 3rd column, with the pink with the hatched overlay there, which would be the C2 with a PUD, planned unit development overlay, you would first need that middle step to conditionally rezone it.
And it's a non-conforming use because it was there before the zoning act was passed, correct?
Yes, likely. That greenhouse is a
grandfathered.
historic site. Mhm.
Yeah.
So in order for the applicant to even propose this mixed-use development and get to that third column, the conditional rezoning to the C2 needs to happen. That's just how the township ordinances are written. There's no other way to address this development scenario.
And if, because it's a non-conforming use, if they wanted to uh, rehabilitate the greenhouses, or, that's a wrong word, what am I looking for? Update and approve the greenhouses, they would not be able to do that, correct?
Well, there are...
There's allowance for that.
I'm asking the planner, thank you.
There are, it's complicated because they could make some improvements depending on the value of the property. They could reduce the square footage, not necessarily increase it. So there are limitations by not being in conformance with the zoning code. If it burned down tomorrow, they wouldn't be able to rebuild it like it is today. So as a conditional rezoning though, this isn't just a straight rezoning to the C2. The applicant is voluntarily offering some conditions to the township for reassurances, excuse me. So what the applicant is offering is to develop this site with a mixed-use PUD. Otherwise, it's going to revert back to this R1 zoning in this first column, how it is today, and stay single-family. So that's the development proposal.
Or somebody else could make another proposal, or this
Well,
this owner could come up with some other proposal. It's not dead. They can start over again with another proposal.
Well, the applicant is proposing that they would develop it with a mixed-use proposal. So they wouldn't be able to just turn around and sell it to someone who wanted to put a veterinarian clinic, for instance, on there.
All right.
It's just going to go back to what it was. It's all tied together. So if we take a look at that from the actual process standpoint in terms of steps, right, not the zoning map, this is where we are tonight, this conditional rezoning. We've had a public hearing with the Planning Commission earlier this year. It's been recommended to denial to the Board of Trustees, and that's where we're at tonight.
Okay, I apologize for my interruption, but the ruling of the Planning Commission, forgive me, I'm a practicing lawyer. The ruling of the Planning Commission was denial, rejection.
That was
Recommendation.
the recommendation to the Board for denial, correct?
Okay. I just want to put that on the record, which I don't see the word rejected by the Planning Commission.
Oh, it's in our cover memo, and the
Yes,
minutes are
I read it
included.
there, but I just
Okay.
don't see it there.
Yeah, well, this is talking about the general process. So
just to clarify that, Laura, the Planning Commission doesn't make a ruling, the Planning Commission makes a recommendation based on the criteria within the, in the decision-making matrix.
correct.
So which word of the recommendation would you like to use, rejection or denial?
The Planning Commission recommended to the Board of Trustees a denial of the application to the
So
rezoning.
denial is your word, okay.
Yeah. But but the point is, John, that the decision rests with the Board of Trustees.
The point of the slide is to show that there is a lengthy process that would happen next should this conditional rezoning be granted. Because in order for any of this to happen, this middle step needs to occur. This middle column where it's rezoned, conditional rezoned to the C2. And when you get into the PUD process, that is where you start talking about traffic impacts, building heights, facade materials. That is not the step in the process at all. We don't have a plan that governs that. The question really tonight is not about those site specifics. It's whether a mixed use, and when we say mixed use, we mean residential options that are currently lacking in the community, local, not regional commercial. So this is not a car wash or a gas station. And the preservation and expansion of a historic greenhouse and flower shop. That's what we mean by mixed use. So the question really for tonight is a mixed use walkable development potentially appropriate at this site? Now, let's look at some justifications in order to answer that question. So in any rezoning across any community in Michigan, one of the most important elements to consider is your master plan. And there's two critical components within your master plan. The first is the future land use map, and that's what's pictured on the screen there. The future land use map, right, shows parcel by parcel how the land is supposed to be developed in the future, how it's anticipated to be developed at that time when the plan is written. And from this zoom in here of the future land use map, you can see the corner has already kind of been designated as a cohesive site. And the site is designated as both residential, the orange as residential, and the blue, which represents office. So when this was written back in 2014, there was already contemplation of a mix of land uses that would be this corner area for future redevelopment. There's also this hatched area that's shown in your future land use map, and that reads, the key issues to be considered for any proposed development should accomplish the following: achieve stability for the area. So the proposed to have a mixed-use walkable development, in our professional planning opinion, does represent a cohesive development, right? A mix of uses is more resilient than just a single use, a single office building. So that first item is satisfied. The second is that this redevelopment would assemble the individual parcels for redevelopment. This would be reassembling 5 individual parcels into a cohesive designed corner site. I think you really see the benefit when you start getting into the impact of that related to traffic. Right now, there's 4 or 5 different curb cuts with all those different parcels that go onto both Joy and Lily Roads. As a cohesive site, there would be only one entrance and exit per road frontage, which drastically improves or reduces the number of conflict points for traffic, which is a major improvement to safety.
You're saying you won't have a driveway to your single-family home? You won't need one, because right now we have driveways, and this would be a mixed use, which would only have one on Lily Road, curb cut, and one on
Correct. There's multiple.
Joy.
Correct. There's multiple curb cuts along both those road frontages.
Which are driveways today.
Well, there's also the commercial greenhouse.
The greenhouse has today only one entrance on Joy, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Well, you can come in the back way from
You can still
Lily,
access
too.
as far as from.
From Lily?
You can.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
Well-
everybody, all right.
We can pull up the aerial so everyone can
Okay,
see
no,
that in just a
let's,
minute.
all right, stay on target here.
Okay. All right, so that represents the assembling of parcels for better land development. Then the last category or component on this is to ensure compatibility in the design and function with abutting land uses. We're going to talk about land use transitions in the next slide, but it's pretty clear that this third point can be achieved. So this is what the future land use map of the township's adopted master plan says, and this development can satisfy these criteria.
Laura, I have a question. This brown area across the street here,
Yes.
those are all apartments currently?
Those are a mix of apartments and single-family homes. There's also included in that brown area Gray's Greenhouse, which is another commercial greenhouse.
Gray's
At the bottom,
Greenhouse is
yeah.
down here, yeah.
Mhm.
Corner.
And then the blue is office,
Office,
and the red is the retail.
correct.
Okay,
And the purple is industrial.
got it.
So in addition to the future land use map, which we just reviewed is compatible, you also need to look at the goals and objectives of a community's master plan. And on the screen here are 2 goals of your plan that speaks to providing a variety of housing typologies and residential living environments to accommodate a diversity of ages and incomes. So I think this project would further that goal, but it does not solve it. I think we know that the master plan shows that over 78% of all the homes in Plymouth Township are single family. And there is a mismatch between the buyer's market and the housing stock.
What does that mean?
78% of the US population is not looking for a single-family home, or likely could not afford a single-family home in today's market. So having a variety of housing options creates a more inclusive community.
You said 78% of the US population does not want a single-family home?
Correct.
I don't believe that. At least not in Plymouth.
All right, this is the board, everybody.
That's not Plymouth.
Settle down.
Okay, I'm happy to provide additional data.
What does the Plymouth number say? Anyway,
All right,
go on, let's go on.
Chuck, come on, you know the answer.
But when you compare the
She
township's
doesn't know the
housing,
answer, and that's the answer.
when you compare the township's housing stock to even Wayne County, the state of Michigan, and nationally,
Folks,
it is not diverse. In terms of owner-occupied versus renter-occupied also, the township is underserved in terms of rental housing options significantly. So these are goals of the community's master plan, and this project would advance those goals. It also talks about multifamily development as a transition between existing or proposed single-family residential developments and more intensive land uses. So if you'd like to take a look at this next aerial here, it does show the development patterns surrounding the site. And when we talk about land use transitions, we have other multifamily to the northeast. We have industrial to the east. We have an airport to the southeast. We have a gas station and auto repair use to the south and southwest. So there's already a mix of uses in this area. And when you look at the township zoning map and the future land use map, having a mixed use or having a multifamily development adjacent to single family, and then against the backdrop of these other uses is how the township has been developed.
Hey Laura, if, this is what, 9 acres or 8 acres?
5.
Only 5.
5 acres. So as a matter of right, if they didn't rezone it and they just knocked it down and built homes in it, how many homes could they put on that 5 acres? Without
any changes?
Yeah.
They'd have to do a parallel plan because you'd have to account for the roads. But I think even just looking at this aerial with the cul-de-sac, you can see they could get quite a few in. And while that is potentially an option, that land use scenario doesn't represent a transition of land uses, right? Because you're putting single family directly across from.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking the question as the alternative, what does the property owner have the right to do today? What could they do?
They could leave it.
Well, but I know, I'm just saying, I'm trying to make a point.
Sure.
Yeah, no, so how many homes, what you're asking for is how many homes could they build right now, single family on that site?
Because people got to understand the alternatives.
Right.
We had that same situation with the charter school. People didn't want 30 homes and now they're getting a charter school.
I don't have that calculation. The applicant hasn't been asked to provide those drawings. But I almost feel like it's a moot point because that wouldn't be in the best interest of the township moving forward. You already have a lot of single family housing stock, so just adding more to it is not diversifying.
Okay, but we're asking the question anyway. I mean, we have other examples around the township, for example, on Ann Arbor Road, next to Red Olive, we have townhouses. We have several rows of multi-story townhouses. I mean, so we have other examples around the community where we have a denser housing product that may not be apartments, but is definitely a denser housing project that is in a busy intersection or a busy traffic area like this.
Let me give a little background.
Too.
Pardon me?
The Elks Lodge.
Well, the Elks Lodge project is another example.
Well, that's a new one, and that's a PUD, but the situation you're talking about in Red Olive was supposed to be completely housing, but because the developer and the economy didn't work out too well, it turned into a strip mall with what they had already built in townhouses. So it was an aborted project that was going to be single family, well, it was going to be townhouses.
And became mixed use.
And became mixed use
Because of economic conditions.
economics and the developer, I think ran out of money and a whole bunch of bad things happened.
Yeah, that development is probably the closest example of what the developer is looking to do here, kind of minus the strip mall development. They're looking to do a true mixed-use development, which many communities would kill for to have proposed in their town.
But mixed use where you live on top of the
Office or
commercial
retail.
office.
Yep.
Kind of like Detroit was 100 years ago.
Well, it's everywhere.
Ann Arbor is like that, Northville.
Downtown Plymouth.
Downtown Northville.
Right, so another justification that I'd like to point out is that SPARs would be legally conforming if this zoning designation was changed, which is a benefit because this is a longstanding local business in the community that they're looking to preserve. It would not be conforming if the zoning stayed the same or even if the zoning was changed to office. It's just not allowed. Lastly, I think it's important to note that this proposal presents an opportunity to improve the long-term environmental quality of the site. We've heard a lot about concerns regarding the rouge in this area, but as a cohesive, redeveloped site, the stormwater must be collected and treated on site. The applicant is looking to do underground retention as part of this development. That would have to meet all of the Wayne County engineering standards. So this means that rainwater will not just be washing into the creek like it does today. I think it's also important to consider that if this were kept the way it is, or even if it were developed as single-family homes with regular lawns, there is no stormwater requirement then that kicks in for that. So that's, to say that a homeowner could fertilize their yard as often as they want to, they could have extra wide driveways, and all of that is rushing into the creek in that location, their watershed. And, that's not, I think, the goal of the master plan in thinking about environmental quality and cohesive developments. The benefit of doing a PUD on the site also is it gives the township greater control in terms of the green infrastructure, requiring native species, and those kind of components. So there are opportunities there to explore. So again, the question to consider tonight is not regarding the building heights or the location of those buildings, but is a mixed-use walkable development potentially appropriate for this site? And is the township willing to give the developer an opportunity to present their development at a future date? I think some things to think about is this in the interest of the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community? Does it harm those items? No. Walkable mixed-use developments are almost necessary for communities to stay resilient moving forward. Does the township's adopted master plan support this? Yes, both the future land use map and the goals and objectives. And then again, is it reasonable to provide the applicant with an opportunity to submit their plans?
Okay, so if nothing happens, it's still zoned commercial?
No.
Zoned residential.
R1.
Zoned residential, except for the SPAR's greenhouse, which is basically grandfathered in. So,
non-conforming use.
yeah, exactly. So,
by the way,
hold on, man. Their only option.
you had a long pause, so I thought you were done.
I'm not. I'm trying to be precise. So their options would be residential, but Laura, would there be any, it's R1 is basically single-family homes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so they couldn't even go the townhouse or a higher density route, is that correct?
Yes, they could not build a townhouse on here.
Okay, so.
No, but they could seek another type of proposal. For example, they could seek a condominium, single ranch-style, 1,500 square feet, which is a real shortage here. I hear you keep talking about variety of housing options. There's no place for Plymouth people to downsize in Plymouth Township in any large way. Bradbury is one, but it has a high density, but it's all ranch style, so there's nothing like that. So what we're getting is all of these proposals, the Elks Club included, is almost 4-story high buildings, which are not friendly to people that want to downsize. There is a development that Jerry Vorva, I think, was involved in off of Gilbert, overlooking Hines Park, called Pineway. If somebody could figure out how to do something like that, this is a much larger parcel than Pineway, where you would have single-family ranch-style condominiums that would have a much higher density than just 5 houses on 5 acres. It's doable. Now,
And it is doable, but that's a very secluded site, what you're describing. I mean, it's
yeah,
secluded.
you could do this, but you could make this,
Would somebody want that at this busy intersection?
a lot of these people, when you look at the map, they're living within 100 feet of this site,
Oh, we understand that.
and they have single-family homes
Yeah.
that are maybe 1,500.
But they're not on Joy Road or Lily.
Well, if
that's
you
my
keep,
point, so.
keep going down Joy Road, the same scenario you're talking about exists, and it's right over the freeway. I mean, there's several,
Single family, or you're talking
yeah,
about, you're talking about,
condominiums, yeah, right over the
you're talking about
freeway.
Bradbury.
Yeah,
Or on the other
Are you
side.
talking about the apartments?
That's Canton.
Know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, Bradbury, which is
I don't know the name of it.
Is it in
Bradbury.
Canton Township?
No,
West,
no.
It's in Westland?
Yeah.
Oh, those are Section 8 typically
Oh, okay.
apartments.
but it's similar to what you're describing.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
No.
And what are you
I'm
describing?
talking about
Oh, yeah.
condominium, site condos
Yeah.
that are ranch style, maybe, hopefully detached, but you could maybe make
Hey,
them.
guys, come on.
Maybe you could make them attached. So my point is that this developer can come back, they're not restricted to doing nothing with the site. They can do something more creative and not have these, in my opinion, based on these pictures, very unattractive, Teutonic-looking, very modern buildings that are 3 to 4 stories tall. So I think they could do something else, but we can talk. Agree with the premise that we don't have enough variety of housing for singles here, unmarried or single people. We have a shortage of housing.
Don't go in there, folks. Folks!
No, they can't hear you. Yeah, they heard you.
You can't, yeah.
We have a shortage of
The money's
places.
back there, don't go in there.
Oh, it's a shortage
attention
of
to the
places
man
for
behind the
people to
curtain.
downsize to that have a home that they just is too big, too expensive to take care of. They have nowhere to go.
Okay.
The only person that did anything, but it's not affordable, is Menard across from Pioneer. They cost $700 to $900,000.
Yeah.
So some creativity. I realize you don't make it as much money if you have a single story, because the perimeter of the foundation, if you could build 3 on top, you could make a lot more money.
But, what you're describing, and I don't disagree, is kind of what we were looking at the Northridge site. And that
It
was,
It is.
that was shot down, so.
Well, Northridge site was much larger, single-family homes.
But there was a much denser arrangement,
But this isn't that site. That is where, a different neighborhood. This neighborhood has more density. It has apartments across the street. It has a bunch of mixed use in Canton Township. There's plenty of mixed use right on the south side of Joy Road. And
Some of that in your township too.
pardon?
You want that in your township too?
No, we don't. Mixed use is a code word for something different that's not single-family related. And PUD, one thing, when you have a PUD, any board in the future can change it. It doesn't come before the planning commission. It opens up the door to, in the future, many other developments. You can come back. We know St. John's, wonderful place. They've been back 7 times to modify their PUD.
Yeah, because it's a contract, and we have
Right,
to
that's what I
approve
mean, exactly, it's contract zoning that's
Yeah,
legal.
but that has to be approved by the governing bodies.
Right, by the board, right, but you don't have the
Yeah,
rigor
all
of a
right.
planning commission.
Okay.
Anyway,
If I
these
could
are
just
some things.
clarify.
All right, so Laura has some clarification.
Yeah, just a couple of things. So when we say mixed use, we're talking about walkable, compatible uses, right? Those are things that communities should strive for because it means that you're more viable. The developer has proposed a quality development on this site. That's not to say that there aren't opportunities elsewhere in the township for more aging in place housing. There was an aging in place study that was just done by U of M through our planning department this past spring, their capstone project, and that showed that there definitely is a need for senior housing across the township. So that's something, that the township should be pursuing, in the same vein.
So let's do it when we have a chance, now.
Well, this is a quality development that's been brought by a developer for 5 parcels that they do, I've been corrected, they do own all 5 properties. And if you tried to do single-family homes, you could do 16 about.
16, okay. All right, so I'm kind of, I'd like the developer to come forward at this point. Laura, are you basically done at this point? So is the developer here? A representative of the developer?
Why didn't we have him
done,
up here to
Laura?
begin with?
Huh?
We should have had him up here to begin with.
Well,
She gave some
you
background.
gotta get the
Folks,
background.
She gave some background.
Hey, sir,
You gotta go, come over here.
We changed it since the last time you were here. Pardon?
All right. Can we?
Yeah, it's more logical.
All right, so we need your name and who you represent, sir.
Good evening. My name's Scott Wright. I'm the architect working with the developer.
Najee Kahala.
Mohammed Nawaz.
Both these gentlemen are local businessmen within the Plymouth community and have chosen to purchase Spars and the adjoining properties in order to maintain and use Spars as part of their landscape business and to maintain that historical greenhouse that's part of the community. And at the same time, they contacted me to work with them on what they could do to improve the corner. And obviously, as you see, as Laura's described, there's 3 single-family homes. The very corner of Joy and Lily is undeveloped at this point in time. And there are several different issues that we have to address in order to improve this site.
Put that up there.
Yeah.
So do you guys own,
So since we're here,
well,
show
hold
me.
on, Chuck, I'm talking, okay? So you own these homes here?
Yes,
You own them outright? There's no options or anything like that?
that's correct.
Okay. And of course, this is the vacant lot, and.
So where,
You go all the way back through here?
About right along that line, right where your pointer is, yes, that's the lot line.
Okay. Okay,
so where is the current driveways for Spars entry for retail?
Big gray thing right there.
Right there? Where is the other one?
The other
Right
gray
there.
The retail people come in that way? I don't think so.
Most people don't, but those of
Yeah,
us that
that's
know
an
Spars do.
access, that's a service road, service
It's
driveway.
paved and it's connected to the parking lot.
So you're saying, as a retail customer, I can enter off there?
Yes.
Wow, I've never known that.
all right, let's focus on the presentation by the developer, and there'll be time for questions.
Okay.
Laura, could you bring up the second, or who's got it?
The what?
Oh,
You mean treasurer?
the second slide, please?
Which one's the second?
Yes, that.
This one?
No, that's
The one I had.
The
up.
map? Is it a map?
keep going. One more.
That's the third.
Right, so Laura already discussed, that's the existing corner of Joy and Lily, where we highlighted.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right now. There's a mistake on that map. Subject property is not, you're at the wrong corner.
No, there's an arrow pointing to it.
Oh, it's an arrow?
Yeah, it's tough to see.
See the green outline?
It's the green outline.
Oh, okay, I thought that was the, okay, yep, all right.
Next slide, please.
Well, hold on, guys.
Okay.
So we're just trying to reestablish what we pointed out in the earlier thing. All right, well, I think are we good now that we know what the area that we're talking about? So is this your next slide?
It's good enough, yes.
Scott, is this your next slide?
Yes,
Okay.
this will work. So this was after some discussions with Laura and working with the owner, a concept for what we could do with the corner. So the orange squares, rectangles that you see are either the existing spars, which is to the west, and then the proposed apartments and mixed-use buildings to the east and to the north. So the corner, being a very traffic-heavy corner and a very busy corner and directly across the street from a gas station and kitty corner across the street from the airport, we thought that would make the best use of a mixed-use building with either professional office or small commercial spaces with apartments above as a buffer to the corner of the property. Spars would remain. We would reduce the greenhouses in the north. We also will have to reduce the greenhouses on the south side because they currently sit within the future right-of-way of Joy Road.
Didn't you say at the planning commission that that corner structure building would be some sort of a retail business that had a drive-through?
We took the drive-through out.
Okay.
After further discussion with the planning department, they didn't think that was a good idea, so we nixed it.
So it's not intended to be like
No.
a fast food restaurant
No.
with a drive-through?
We're thinking more of maybe like a podiatry office or a chiropractor, small commercial spaces, not heavy retail, not heavy restaurant use.
There's people already interested in doing like an urgent care.
Professional services.
So.
Right. And then we would have apartments above, so it's a true mixed-use building.
So apartments, they'll be rental.
Correct.
We're shooting for luxury lofts. We want to do something that represents Plymouth. We want to do something that.
So you want a $2,500 a month rent for a loft?
No?
No?
I'd say that.
What's your no, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, guys, we
We're not
gotta,
there yet.
let's focus.
we're not there yet.
Let me reiterate something.
But all of you, just
let me
stop,
talk.
he's your agent, okay? Let him make the presentation, and then we'll have questions. Write your questions down if you got them, but let's let your guy talk.
Okay, so back to spars. So as we said, we had to reduce the southern greenhouses to fit them within the future right-of-way of Joy Road. That project has already gone in for permit, has been approved, and is started underway. So those greenhouses are going to be pushed back away from Joy Road. And then to the north of that is we're proposing an apartment building. And then to the east of that is 2 additional apartment buildings. There would only be 2 driveways, one off of Lily, one off of Joy. Everything would be tied together. And then again, as we are buffering the corner to the single family, we have the parking for the apartments in the back. And then we've allowed for green belt all the way around the property, a walking path to tie all the sidewalks together. We would put new sidewalks in, obviously, along Joy and Lily. We would tie those all to the building to provide the walkability for the site. If you could go to the next slide.
I'm sorry, how many units are you talking about?
I think right now we've got it at 68.
That was the question I asked, and maybe I didn't ask it right. So the current Spars greenhouse, it's a non-conforming use, but it still is, it got permits to go under renovation?
Because it was coming closer into compliance. So they are allowed to decrease the amount of space, but they wouldn't be able to increase,
So
or
long
if
as
it
you're going
burned
in that
down.
direction towards compliance, you can modify a non-conforming use.
Correct.
Gotcha.
This slide simply shows building to green to paving, so we can have an idea of how much green will still remain on the property.
What percent is it?
I did not run calculations. Now, mind you, as Laura has said, we are looking to get an approval to pursue a PUD. So this is one idea. And everything we're gonna work hand in hand with the township planning department to develop this corner in a way that's gonna benefit the township as a whole and enhance this corner of Plymouth Township. So this is an idea, it's a thought, but this is where we would like to go. we got approval from you to do the PUD, when we come back to the planning commission, it may not look like this. But we're gonna do it within the confines of the zoning ordinance and within the master planning and working with your planning department. We do not want exceptions. We don't want to do variances. We want to stay within what the township allows. But at the same time, we want to improve this corner and make it maybe a jewel for people coming in from Canton, driving into Plymouth.
Okay, okay. Okay, is there another slide?
There is, but I can just talk about it. So by doing this, as Laura talked about, we would help with improved traffic flow by restricting the number of driveways. I'm sure Wayne County will make us improve the corner of Joy Road and Lily Road. So this drawing shows that we've added another lane to southbound Lily Road traffic. We are required by county and state law to maintain and control our stormwater, whereas right now, none of that is being done. We would control it all on our site. We probably will in some of the other green areas have things that are called bioswales, which gives us the ability to treat the stormwater before it leaves the site. And just improve overall property values in the area by improving the corner.
So how many apartments in total?
Right now, we've got it at about 68, but again, that number
Rough
we'll
number.
work with the township on, right?
Does that conclude your presentation at this point?
Yes.
How many were in the planning commission discussion of apartments? I thought it was much greater than 68.
I don't recall.
Does anybody remember? Laura? Well, how many was in there?
I don't remember there being an actual number because, again, this plan is not tied to it. The amount of units they have is going to be dictated by the amount of parking they have, the amount of landscaping, buffering, the layout of the site, utilities. So it's hard to even say if this number would exactly work. What I do know is that the applicants have proposed, Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about those buildings that are along Lily Road? Are those two-story, the northern two?
Along Lily Road, the furthest north building is 2 stories. The building south of it would be 3, and the mixed-use building would be 3.
And when we say 3 stories, do you mean they would be any taller than the height allowance in the residential district?
Would not be.
Okay.
We would meet the ordinance requirement.
So is that 35 feet in residential?
Yes, I believe it is,
Boy,
yes.
that seems tall in a residential district, 35 feet.
I think that's the same across all single-family residential.
So it is 35.
I'm going to confirm.
I think if you look at like Lido Palace that's under construction and the townhouses on Ann Arbor Road.
Arbor Road, right, yeah. And by the way, they were at $2,000 when they first opened up for their
Who was it, $2,000 a month rent?
the loft. Remember the new, that was on Ann Arbor by that professional building?
I can't remember.
35 feet.
Yes.
35 feet?
Okay.
Correct.
No.
So, does that conclude your presentation?
What is the building just north of the greenhouse? How tall is that?
Oh, north of the greenhouse, this one? How many stories is that one?
3-story.
3? Okay.
So you have some sample elevations in the hard copy. Do you have them now up here?
They are if you'd like to see them,
pop
yes,
them
they
up,
are in the
please.
presentation.
These are samples.
This is an example. That is a multi-use building. It's in Ann Arbor that has first floor commercial, light office, and then apartments and condos, or it's just apartments and lofts above.
Where's this at?
Packard?
Ann Arbor.
Maple and
Oak Valley and Ann Arbor Saline.
Oak Valley, yeah.
Okay,
Oak
okay.
Valley and Ann
I know
Arbor
where it's at.
Saline. If you scroll down, that's right on the corner of that very busy road. These are 3-story lofts that they have next to that building.
Okay, folks,
So
knock it off.
it's a common entrance?
Come on,
Yes.
folks, let's be fair.
The buildings we're proposing would have a common entrance.
So I have concerns because I drive that area a lot. The 2 entrances and exits, I mean, how would people like make a left? Because it backs up so much right at the light on both sides. And it doesn't have like a turn signal there. So you have to
Well,
wait.
my guess would be is no left turn. It's gonna be right turn only out. But I don't know that. That's part of working with the county and determining that. You know, that's all part of getting into the weeds of this and developing it, because, you know, not only do we have to work with the township, we will have to work with Wayne County. And that all gets figured out.
And then similarly, facades like this that would be subject to the PUD, Laura?
Yeah, none of this is being proposed or approved, at this time,
yeah.
right? It has to go through the process. One thing I'd like to add about the traffic is I think this intersection has really kind of been, especially since it's the boundary between Canton and Plymouth, it's just been overlooked a little bit in the past in terms of improvement. So this redevelopment might be the impetus to really actually make some improvements to that area for the safety of everyone driving through it. So this could be a positive opportunity for that.
Well, the traffic situation may be exacerbated because of the current construction on I-275, north-south roads in Plymouth Township. It hasn't worsened it. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten worse.
All right, we're not, okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'd like to do now, I have one question for either Laura or possibly for Kevin Bennett. The ask that we are not deciding tonight is for a conditional rezoning. So the conditions are, is that a time condition or what? So my question is, conditional rezoning, how long does it last? Can we put a time frame on that, or is there already a time frame assumed under the law?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I can generally explain the concept of conditional zoning. Conditional zoning is permitted under the Zoning Enabling Act under certain circumstances. First and most important, it has to be, the conditions have to be unilaterally imposed by the developer. The township can have no say in what the conditions are, except to approve or disapprove. There can be no negotiation back and forth, because then that could be perceived as illegitimate contract zoning. So if the developer presents the conditions, and the conditions are in writing, the township board has the option to either accept or reject those conditions. As to the duration of the conditions, if you give me 2 minutes, I might be able to find that out.
Okay.
Before you start looking, what you just said is, this whole meeting is kind of a negotiation. I've never seen anything like this, I don't think ever, where we have a preview. I guess I wish we had a preview on the horse track and Meyer, but anyway, we're getting a preview, but we're kind of negotiating right now.
No, we're not. We're not.
No?
No, we're not. We're giving this group.
We're giving them direction on what we like and don't like.
No.
This group was denied by the Planning Commission. They could come here, rather than coming here for a vote, they came back and said, we'd like to revise our plans, and that's what they did. So we're giving them due process, the opportunity for a hearing without a vote. They're getting feedback, clearly.
But the plans aren't revised from the Planning Commission, are they?
I think at a minimum, they'd have to.
The Planning Commission didn't see any of that.
That's okay, but
Planning
the point
Commission
is,
didn't see any of this?
No.
all right.
No, none of that.
So what's happening here is that they're coming before us because our alternative would have frankly been to have a study session, which we normally would have done, and have a study session focused exclusively on these guys. If we'll have to decide at some point where they go from here. They'd probably go back to the Planning Commission at this point. But I think the board, based on the feedback that I got at previous meetings, I think you all had questions about what this entailed, and so we're just giving them a chance to make their presentation.
What local business are you running out of the SPARS?
Before we get to that, I'd really like to clarify something that I don't think anybody's listened to on the board. We are trying to get permission to do something. We want to have the ability to submit a PUD. All these questions get answered in a PUD, right? So the fact that we've had to go through and jump through a lot of hoops to explain what we're doing is fine. It's a completely reasonable thing, but we are simply asking, can we pay money out of our pockets and show you a PUD to answer all your questions. So that's something that I really want to emphasize on, because we keep veering off to the right and the left, and how much does rent
That's
cost?
because
and
people
how
are
many-
suspicious of PUD in residential districts. And nobody trusts the action because things can change so quickly. It's a contract zoning situation, and a future board
So
can change it at will.
conditional. Can we ask the lawyer what the definition of conditional means?
He just told you.
Correct. So when we go into this, if we don't do what we're telling you we're gonna do, it goes back to residential. So.
But you want a
what's the-
conditional to go to a PUD.
Because
That's what you want.
according to your rules, there's no way we can get into a PUD without having a C2 zoning. There's no other way unless we look into changing it.
Well, maybe we don't want C2. Maybe we want residential R1.
All said and done, let's say you give us the approval to do it. We work through the planning commission. We come back to you again to show you the preliminary design. We rework it. We do it. We go to planning commission for a final. We come back to you final. That's 4 different reviews. You approve it. That property technically will be zoned PUD, not C2. It'll be listed
It's
as a
4
PUD.
reviews. Sorry,
And
I
it
mean-
stays that way. Nothing on it can be changed without starting the whole process all over.
Now, you could come back to the
Yeah,
township
it's-
board in the future and have the PUD changed easily.
And it's 4 reviews, but it's, the first question is the do not pass go question as to whether the concept itself is palatable to this board. So I don't agree with that, because once step 1 is done, then you're making a presumption that now it's simply a question of what goes in the PUD, not if. It becomes a question of what, not if.
So it goes back to my question, and hopefully Kevin has an answer now, which is there a time limit on a conditional rezoning?
Yes. Township board can establish a time period during which the conditions apply to the land.
Say it again?
The township board may establish a time period during which the conditions apply to the land.
So it could be, we could say it could run with the land forever?
No.
Or is it going to be 6 months or
Could be a year.
60 days, whatever?
Could be a year. But again, we're not deciding that tonight, but we're just gathering information. So, okay.
I'm sorry, but I happen to agree with trustee Kermey that a PUD, I have come to regard as like a box that Amazon drops on your front porch. It's very amorphous. That's what I think of a PUD. We've gone over an hour and a half in session. It's time to hear the concerns of the citizens who have not communicated whatsoever with these 3 developers. They have been here for over an hour and a half. It's time to listen. They only get 3 minutes apiece. Can we start now?
John, just,
Well, I
You're
still have one more
argumentative.
question.
Why are you shutting down?
John, we're not doing
Who have
that.
been here an hour and a
Can I just
half?
ask
John,
you a question?
you're just pandering, and we all know, we can see right through you, okay? So just
You're dismissive.
knock it off.
And disrespect.
You had a real question?
Yeah, so could you explain why the planning commission recommended the denial? Since
Yeah.
you represent.
I can. So we had, there's 6 criteria that you're supposed to use to evaluate. In summation, the feeling was it was too abrupt of a transition, the first back of the napkin plan, because it was like 3-story apartment buildings right on the perimeter of the property. And so I think the general feeling, the vote, I can't remember if it was unanimous or was it 5-1, it might have been 5-1.
It was 5-1?
Was that it was too dramatic of a transition. And at that time too, they also said that they would have a.
It just, yeah.
You just have to speak
It's
loud.
on, speak up.
I think my mic got turned down or something.
No,
Is that
you're
better?
just very soft-spoken, Bob.
No, I'm not. I'm loud and obnoxious. The feeling on the planning commission generally was that it was too abrupt of a transition from residential to what originally was floated as you could have a fast food drive-through restaurant on the corner, and that was just not palatable. It was also, the original concept was three-story apartment buildings that would be, almost adjacent to the property owners, and so that was that. Conceptually, whether it makes sense, it would be, something's going to get developed there. The houses that are there are past their useful life. Something's going to get developed. It's nice to see Spars renovated. That's a plus for the community. So that's pretty much what the sentiment of the Planning Commission was.
Well, so you can see, sir, that it is important when making the decision as to what you guys are proposing here. It's all we have to go by. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, which is why
So
we've
you're
been
saying it
working
could
with your planning
change-
department for the
It
last
could change
3
and all
months.
that, but at the same time, we're just going by what, is being given.
Right. But again, we're working with the planning department to do what is in the best interest of the township. And they feel it meets that need. And we're willing to work with them on that.
I think we've established that. Any other questions from the trustees at this point? Okay.
I did have one
Yeah,
question.
sure.
You have 2 buildings that are 3-story and 1 building that's 2-story. What's the thought process about that? Why isn't the third one a 3rd story?
So it's not as tall next to the existing single family. That's
Okay.
why. Same reason we put the parking back there, to keep those buildings away from the single family homes.
Okay.
And that was, again, working with the planning department.
Okay, I have 2 questions. One, you said you're running a local business. What is it? And 2, what is the status of tax payments? Are they current? In other words, have you paid?
Yes, they're
the bill that
current.
was September 14 was due?
Yes.
On all parcels?
Yes.
All right, so that's answered. So what are the businesses you're running in Plymouth?
Plymouth Manor Banquet Center on Main
Pardon?
Street. Plymouth Manor Banquet Center on Main Street.
Oh, you have Plymouth Manor?
Yes.
All right, so that's been sold then from the,
2017 I purchased it.
okay.
And I've been a resident for the last 23 years in Plymouth.
All right, you have a landscape business? Somebody mentioned you're running a
Yes, we
landscape
have
business?
landscaping business.
That's what I do in Ann Arbor.
Okay, you're doing landscaping in Ann Arbor, all right.
There
The
were
business
what?
is located in Ann Arbor,
Correct.
all right. And what is it called?
KB.
KB Landscaping, all right.
All right, one more question. Who was responsible for the property there at Spars? Because it's in real disarray there for so long. Who's responsible for the upkeep of that?
I am.
You are? Okay.
Is there anything specific?
But you
you're
are
referring to?
in the process of improving the site currently, correct?
I was just curious, is there something specific, like grass
No,
lawn?
I'm just
or-
curious as to the future of those properties, if they're going to be kept up as well, because it's a real eyesore.
Well, I think it was the previous owner that let them
previous
run down.
owner?
Yes. These people, when did you take ownership of Spires?
We took over in December.
Right, so that's,
So they
the
didn't
previous
have-
owner for the last
Thank you for the
65 years
clarification. Thank you.
was the
Thank
one
you
that
for the
let it run down.
Okay,
Come
Got
by
it.
and check us out, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, cool.
very good. All right, I'm gonna excuse you guys now at this point, certainly stick around. We'll be happy to take public comment at this point. Again, it's a 3-minute limit, which is our stated board rules.
Take a bathroom break.
I need a 2-minute break.
Hey, my name is Nancy Remlawi. I just recently purchased a house on the corner of Hackberry and Revere. I have some quick comments. I'm against the proposed development of the property, number one. Number two, there are a lot of times pulling out on Revere that I even have trouble making a right turn. How is anybody going to be able to turn out onto Lily Road 50 feet from the corner? I don't understand that. And number two, one of my concerns back at the Planning Commission was having the apartments so close to backyards and people's access in the apartments looking down into residents' backyards, because I personally lived in a house that backed to apartments at one point in my life, and that was a concern of mine. Well, now they have the parking lot back there, so now those people that back to the parking lot are gonna see headlights coming into their house, more than just like my neighbor coming into his driveway when he comes home from work. It's just that one person coming that one day. Well, now you're gonna have 68 people coming in and out all times of the day and night. You don't know what shifts they're working, and those headlights are gonna be coming directly into their bedroom windows. So,
And I don't want to interrupt, but are the developers still here? I see one of the principals, but is your agent here? Could you bring him back in? I think he needs to hear this.
so those are, yeah, they changed what they were going to be doing, but still 68 people trying to get in and out of that corner. It's gonna be really hard. I would not want to live there if it took me 15 minutes to get out of my parking lot. I mean, I waited outside coming from my granddaughter's soccer game for almost an hour, because I knew if I just went home and tried to get back, it would take me 15 minutes to get out onto Lily, and then I would be late for the meeting. So I just came and I sat out here in the parking lot. So,
Okay,
those are my comments.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy. You may have,
Could you write your name down first and say?
oh, yes, sorry.
Speak loud.
Okay. So my neighbors and I have prepared a comprehensive statement that we're going to share with you. So we're going to be passing this off as we speak. On Wednesday, April 19th, 2023, the conditional rezoning request put forth by the new owners of the Spars Greenhouse property was not supported by the Plymouth Township Planning Commission, with a 5-to-1 recommendation to reject. Reasons for the rejection include the lack of a proper transition separating the major commercial corridors of Joy and Lily Roads from the existing single-family residences, a proposed rezoning that does not adhere with the currently approved master plan, the adoption of future land use that has not yet been approved and has not gone to the public for comment, and a PUD that lacks a clear benefit for the public good. Standing in gross opposition, many residents who are also here tonight attended this meeting to share their heartfelt opinions. We appreciate the Planning Commission for hearing our statements and addressing our concerns. We would like to share with you the reasons we remain in opposition to the rezoning and proposed plan unit development of the Spars property in commercial and mixed-use changes. A primary concern is the existing heavy traffic flow of both Lily and Joy Roads near Spars. It is obvious that a residential and commercial development will add hundreds of additional drivers to an already congested area. It was indicated at the Township Planning Commission meeting in April that a traffic impact study would be available during the PUD option, but to our knowledge, this has not yet been completed. Negligence in understanding the current traffic patterns by failing to complete a comprehensive traffic study is dangerous to all current and future residents and/or visitors of the Joy and Lily intersection. According to the Michigan Traffic Crash Facts, MTCF, there were 13 crashes in the Spars vicinity in 2022. Increased traffic volumes add additional health and safety concerns by impeding access to the Henry Ford Health Center and other hospital facilities, making it harder for residents and emergency vehicles to access care in a timely fashion. Disregarding crash history and expected traffic growth is not in accordance with the basic intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance, which is intended to protect the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm starting everybody over at 3 minutes, okay? So it's not like.
But please sign in and tell us your name.
You weren't, no, you weren't. No, you were. It's just, I know sometimes people think it's like Congress where I yield back the balance of my time, but we don't do that here, so. But I'll give you a fresh 3 minutes. That's even better.
My name is Wendy Harless. I'm a 53-year resident of Plymouth Township for 49 of those years. My family has owned the property, if you go back to the maps, directly north of this development. So earlier you were asking for petitions. This is a petition of everybody in the
Hey, a
neighborhood who
petition.
has said they do not want this rezoned.
Excellent. Thank you for that
I
petition.
also would like to say that this does not conform to the character of our neighborhood. This is our house. This is the house next to us, just to the north, and this is what they're proposing. Does not fit in with the character of our neighborhood. It does not fit in with the land use of our neighborhood, which is zoned single family. If you look at that corner, it's all single-family homes, even when you get past Tonquish Creek until you're north on Postiff, where there are more apartment buildings. I do have a question for the developer, because tonight they said they own the property outright, but at the April meeting, you said that this was purchased on a land contract. Have you paid off the land contract?
Wendy, why don't you ask the question through the chair, okay?
Okay.
Because
We would like to know that if
you want to know if they own the property?
If they own the property outright now,
Good.
because in April they did not, they had a land contract.
So is it a land contract or what, guys?
First part, there's small amount, we paid to start the project.
I couldn't comprehend what you said. What did he say?
You have to
I
repeat.
said the house is paid for it, there's a small amount left, and that contract for sparks, and that should be paid when we start the project.
Okay.
And so you own
they own the property.
8925 Lily Road? You've paid that off? So also, in the arguments from McKenna, they talk a lot about the 2025 master plan, which has not been adopted by this board. The Planning Commission made their denial based on the current zoning, the current master plan. So I just want to read to you from both the proposed 2025 master plan, but also the current master plan. They discourage spot zoning of office, commercial, industrial land uses. They recognize that a longstanding goal for the master plan for land use has been to avoid locating commercial uses at every intersection of major roads. That's in both the 2025 and the current one. I also want to talk about the traffic. This is a picture I took just yesterday trying to get out our driveway. My turn signal was on to turn right. I'm at the end of the driveway. This car just pulls in front of me on Lily and sits there. The traffic is ridiculous. I've got pictures from both yesterday and some pictures from this summer standing in our driveway and in our front yard. It's cars as far as the eye can see, and they are not allowing this car out on Revere. So, and there's also a picture of the flooding
These
back
cars are
there.
going south.
Yes, to the intersection at Joy.
Okay, Wendy, so your time's up.
Okay.
If you want to wrap it up, that's fine.
Yeah, so I just want to say, we absolutely need a traffic study. We need an environmental study because it's so close to Tonquish Creek. I would love to see a tree survey of all of the mature trees on all of these properties. And just in conclusion, I would like to ask everybody here to imagine if somebody purchased the 3 single-family homes directly next to your house that are zoned single-family and traditionally have been zoned single-family, and they propose to demolish them and build commercial as well as 2- and 3-story apartments right next to your house. This parking lot on this current plan is directly adjacent to my backyard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Thank you very much.
My name is Sharon Phillips, and I've lived on 9060 Tucson, I need a pen, thank you, for 44 years. And, let's see, let me just find the name here.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's
Okay, oh, yes, I should do this afterwards. Anyways, okay. Failure to complete an environmental survey is another major concern, as Wendy already mentioned. Plymouth Township is part of the Middle One Rouge River sub-watershed. Our neighborhood borders Tonquish Creek, a tributary of the Rouge River. Historically, Tonquish Creek has overflowed as recounted by many residents during the April meeting, and I know Wendy passed out pictures. Where are we? Okay, sending water into neighboring residential yards and homes. Further, there is deep concern about the flow of stormwater runoff once grasslands are paved over. Development of the land at Joy and Lily will have a lasting impact on our environment with respect to the Rouge River watershed. Careful consideration must be given to preserving the natural environment of the watershed and avoiding pollution. Furthermore, residents of our neighborhood would request a tree survey, as Andy already had mentioned, to be performed in order to protect and preserve heritage trees. The proposed apartment structures are not harmonious with the adjacent property, nor do they protect or conserve the character of our surrounding area. Modern high-end lofts, as described in the project benefits, do not integrate or provide a smooth transition to neighboring residential structures. Just north of the Spars property on Lily Road is a historical home built in 1924. To the north and west of the property are single-family ranch and colonial homes built in the late 70s and early 80s. The proposed building's contemporary design will appear completely out of place in our community. Further, the tall nature of the proposed 3-story units threatens the privacy of neighboring 1- and 2-story residents. During the April 19th meeting, Plymouth Township Planner Laura Haw stressed the maximum height of the proposed structures would be 35 feet and would not exceed 2 stories. In an interview with The Rock from May 2023, Ms. Haw was quoted as saying, "So this isn't a 3-story giant apartment building with 100 units. These are smaller buildings with a few units that fit more with the scale of the neighborhood." Differently, an updated project overview discusses 2- and 3-story dynamic loft apartment buildings. It is unclear what exactly will be built on the Spars property. Furthermore, the residents of our community question the necessity of this type of development in a neighborhood that is already flanked to the north and the east by multi-family dwellings. The Elks Club Lodge and other Plymouth Township brownfield developments fail to limit overcrowding and population congestion.
Ma'am, okay, so you're over your time limit now. Just
Okay.
wrap it up, please, or pass the baton in this case.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Okay, Kim Zulke,
What's your name
4257,
again?
Kimberly Zulke, Revere Avenue, resident for 14 years, just about. In a prior meeting of the Board of Trustees, it was stated that the Elks Lodge development alone more than doubles the percentage of multifamily housing available in the township from 6 to 13%. This is before considering the incremental housing attributed to the second brownfield site in the vicinity of the Courthouse Grill. Just over a year ago, at this board's September 27th meeting, in consideration of the application for conditional rezoning of the land belonging to Northridge Church, Supervisor Heise spoke several times about the desires of many empty nesters in Plymouth who are looking for smaller houses with everything or nearly everything on one floor, going as far as to say we do need more housing like this. This was backed by Trustee Kermey, who shared his sentiments, and I quote, "I hear it regularly from residents. They want to downsize from a multi-story house smaller. They want to stay in Plymouth. Well, there aren't really too many affordable places to go because they want a single-story ranch-style house." Our neighborhood can attest that empty nesters are not the only residents with this goal. We also represent a demographic of small families with moderate incomes who sought to make Plymouth their home. These are the homes of teachers, postal workers, dental hygienists, nurses, and their young children, people I'm pleased to call my neighbors. In keeping with our current R1 designation, our community would gladly welcome additional housing that reflects the tone and the values of the community that we have fostered within our families. If the market exists for single-story ranch-style homes, and if the trustees care to act in the interests of the residents in front of them and those who responded to the community survey, as opposed to the pocketbook of a developer, this plan should be rejected in accordance with the majority recommendation of the Planning Commission. Luxury does not ring true to affordable, and 2 to 3 stories does not equate to a single floor. We value and respect the roles of the Board of Trustees. We appreciate the opportunity to address our concerns with you tonight. In preparing our public comments, we've attempted to do our due diligence in reading the current and proposed master plans, in reviewing similar proposals addressed and voted upon by this board, and in familiarizing ourselves with the rules of engagement pertaining to PUDs, conditional rezoning, and the like. And despite all of this planning, I'm certain our words fall short of their intended purpose, which is to properly demonstrate the character of our neighborhood and the attachment that we have to maintaining it. we'd love for you to visit. We're at the bus stop at about 8:10 every weekday morning, and we'd be happy to share a cup of coffee with you, brewed from our kitchens with no need for a drive-through, and chat while introducing you to the delicate balance of what makes this land our home. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Moran. I'm on Apple Creek, which is just down the road from where the Spars development is proposed. This picture is about the pavement conditions there. This was right out of your master plan. And you can see here, and I'll pass this over, it's all red here. Red, not good. That is the worst pavement conditions, and that's right in that whole area there.
Does that mean flooding?
No.
No, this just says pavement condition.
Pavement condition.
Pavement condition, and I'll pass this along. The traffic there, we've been there for 30 years, my husband and I, and traffic has pretty much stayed pretty level, and according to this from MDOT, it's been about 8,000 cars per day or so. Within there was COVID, things went, yeah. And in 2021, it jumped up 70%, and it's now at about almost 13,000 cars per day. So already the traffic is impacted in that area. I think that additional housing, you've got 68 units there. One person isn't going to be in 68. There's going to be multiple people in those 68, so there's a multiplier factor there. So that's going to increase traffic there. I have, like the others before me, I have pictures of traffic where I'm right 2 houses in, and there is traffic stopped in both directions. You talked about nearby housing. Oh, we need nearby housing. Here is the proposed site. These are, I went on Zillow, I went on apartments.com, and I put a bunch of these in here. This is probably not even all-inclusive of everything that's there. This is available housing, condos, apartments, you name it, it's all there. He had talked about coffee shops. I don't know what retail he's going to be wanting there, but there are more than 20 coffee options within that area there. And I'm sorry, but if I'm waiting in line to get there by Joy and in Arbor Road, I'm not going to stop in, drive in, do something, and then try to leave because I'm not going to be able to get out of there. Plymouth Township is a tree city and has rural character and also dark sky. All this additional lighting from the apartments, from this retail, is just not in character with what is being stated here. Also, the increased pavement and runoff, as was mentioned there, the flood zone is right here, and that is going to not be a good thing. Also, in future land use, I have a question because it is stated that that changes over to a PUD or whatever that is. But in the master plan, it also has adjoining homes on Joy Road that are also the same color. So that is a concern. I don't live right there, but I'm sure there's some residents here that live off of Joy Road. What does that mean for their land if it's being proposed? Just wrapping up here. Yep. You had on another location where office space was changed to residential. Not residential to office. Why is it there that we can have residential, but here you're proposing not?
Okay, thank you. We're writing your questions down.
There you go.
Okay.
Sorry, I have a long name. Wow, I'm unprepared. This is all I got. I need pictures.
I want to know what your long name is.
I want to address one thing. Both on Joy Road and Lily, nobody's even mentioned making a left turn into these proposed complex. It's one way each way. It's not a center turn lane there. So for somebody to cross over Joy Road, cross Lily over Joy Road to make a left into this complex, they're going to be backing traffic up into the intersection because traffic is already backed up from Lily back almost to Ann Arbor Road some days during rush hour. So that needs to be addressed. I see the police chief is here. Get ready for your cruisers to be over there a lot because there'll be accidents. We see it every day there. We live there. We can't get out of our subdivision. This gentleman here on the end, I'm sorry, I didn't know your name.
Charles Kermy?
Charles, you have an excellent thought or idea. If development of that property needs to be developed and it could be done in very nicely in low single, one-story condos. If anybody ever gets a chance and you want to see something like that, on Farmington Road between Joy Road and Ann Arbor Trail in that Hines Drive area, there used to be a school there and the developer did a really great job with some single-family, one-level condos with garages, and he did a really great job, and it enhanced the neighborhood. This project is going to be 3 stories high, possibly, and it's going to be constantly turning people over. People live in apartments 1 to 2 years, and then they're moving, and then they're moving, and then they're moving. If there were condos, people are going to buy them. It's going to raise our value of our property, and it'll raise that value of their property too. Lastly, I got to ask a question of the board. How would you like this unit sitting in your backyard where you go out in the coffee in the morning on your deck and you're going to look at these buildings? I want to know if there's anybody here, just by a raise of your hand, that you would like to see that in your property.
We don't do that.
Yeah, let the record show nobody.
All right, we don't do that.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Beaker. I live on Lily Road between Apple Creek and Prostuff. The traffic is my biggest issue. Those apartments and such won't back up into my neighborhood backyard. I do feel for all of you that do. My issue is the traffic. It is impossible to get out of the driveway unless we turn around and back out. The corner, there is not a turning light currently on Lily Road and Joy. So you have to go through on the yellows or whenever you can. Who controls the light? So if this new apartments do come in with anywhere between 68 to 136 more cars being in the residence there, who controls the light to change it to adding in a turning light?
Wayne County.
So will they be part of
They would be part of any traffic study that's done for any project in that area.
Would that be a condition then, that would have to be?
It's always a condition. And traffic studies are required.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay, thanks.
I don't even know how to use proper English. Looks like it's on a website.
My name's John Sidor. Majority of the stuff has already been covered. When we spoke 6 months ago, the applicant actually had nothing to show us when we went before the board to complain about it. Along Joy Road, you've got nothing actually commercially in Plymouth Township until you've got the one, you've got the credit union on Sheldon and Joy Road. And other than that, Joy Road isn't a main thoroughfare for anything. Not much is on the Canton side either. We've got Ann Arbor Road. We've got a lot of empty commercial spaces in the township right now. We don't really need more commercial. I am not going to love having if if you go back, I'm on the cul-de-sac over there, and the way the proposal was, yeah, I'd be having, I think, 10 cars parking in at night, shining in my back windows. It also appears that they're trying to get, an exit for possible future expansion on it. I had here, when we came here 6 months ago, I don't know if everyone got it, I had a 2-page a letter that basically I went over, nothing's really changed. And I had 74 signatures here, and there was an additional 3 or 4 that I had got. I was told that we'd put on the record. I'm assuming that the 7 people on the board haven't received it?
Seen it.
You have seen it?
Yeah. If you submitted it, it's been in the record.
Okay.
It's in the planning commission record.
It
hasn't come to my.
But you guys haven't gotten it, I assume.
Maybe.
What is it? I didn't hear.
Did you submit a letter?
A letter with signatures.
It was a letter. It was a letter with petitions on the back of it.
At the planning commission level?
Yes.
Okay, that would have been entered into.
And I asked it that it be put on the record.
Okay.
I assumed that was going to everyone.
No, it's not in this stack today from the planning commission.
Yeah, when I saw the PDF a couple hours ago.
It's part of the planning commission minutes, and we would have to go back and review those minutes to see that. So don't worry about it.
Why don't you get it before you're making a decision if it's a discussion?
We're not making any decisions. We're trying to gather.
You're having a discussion, but you're not hearing us totally.
Yeah, we are.
Without reading what we gave. There were 3 letters that were proposed that were given.
We've received emails, we've received lots of public comment, and we received real petitions tonight, too.
Yeah, I've got a thing in here that in the meetings that I just printed up a couple hours ago, once I got home, basically it said that I was worried about, my minutes in the meeting was I was worried about cutting down trees and traffic, and that's it. I had a lot more in there.
Okay.
But if you guys aren't gonna read it, or if we see that you guys aren't going to read it.
We can go back and, it's the April
How do we
meeting.
support you or vote for you?
Sir, how do you know we don't read it? I take
excuse
exception
me,
to that.
I
We have
was
sat
just
here for all
asked,
this
and it
time,
was told.
Listen to all these nice people make all their wonderful arguments, and you have the audacity to come up here and say, you don't even know if we're going to read it? And don't do that to me, Kermie.
No, his point is, we didn't get it in the
You
packet
get
today.
it to read it.
No,
My
excuse me,
question
you
is,
said that
did you get it
first,
to
and then
read
you
it?
went
And
on
it
to
says,
say.
it's in the
Okay,
other
we'll
minutes.
I
we will
told you, I
definitely
didn't
look at the
get it.
minutes. We'll look at the minutes.
I read it all.
It's back in April, we'll look at
Okay,
the minutes.
but it's not in this what you
Okay.
got.
It's okay.
It's in the, it would show up in the next meeting, and it'd show up in those minutes, in the next official meeting.
We're hearing you, buddy. It's okay. We got you.
No, but in defense of what he's saying is, it needs to be in the backup of what, for this meeting. That would be the right way to do it. Laura, do you know why it's not in here?
Oh, come on, Chuck. This is not an interrogation. You can go, if you need it
it's
so badly, then go back to the April Planning Commission.
It's clarification.
Okay? That's why we're here, Chuck.
Clarification.
That's why we're here. And you didn't want to have this meeting, but now you want to have
No, I didn't
this
say I
meeting.
didn't want to. I said it's unusual.
You said we were negotiating.
Please
We're
don't
not.
correct me. And
No,
don't go
no.
into your scoldy boy thing.
No,
Let's hear
sorry,
from them.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Don't scold me.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sandy Dodge. I live at 8867 Manton, and that is west of Lily Road. So it's the first street west of Lily Road, coming in off of Joy Road. A couple of things. Laura mentioned that this area, the goal is to make it a walkable area. I just want to point out that there are no sidewalks along Joy Road or along Lily that would allow you to walk from Lily to Main Street or from Lily to Ann Arbor Road currently. So that makes it very difficult for anyone living in that community to have access to this particular area that they're wanting to develop. The other thing I would reiterate is the traffic. I was trying to turn from my street on Manton out onto Joy Road yesterday afternoon at 1:30 in the afternoon, and it took me 7 minutes. No, school wasn't getting out from PCA. It took me 7 minutes. So traffic in that area is constant. We've lived there 40-some years, and it's increased significantly over the time period.
And I mean, I'm not being argumentative, but when have you noticed the greatest increase? Because obviously 275 has impacted all of us.
It's been like this for years.
Okay.
For years. Obviously, it's increased over the years, but it's been like this for a long time.
all right.
I've been retired for 3 years. So for the last 3 years, I can tell you
I've been going out of the subdivision throughout the day, and I've noticed it.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to thank all of the neighbors that live a little closer to this project, because you did an outstanding job of pulling the information together. I couldn't have done any better myself, and I applaud all of you for representing those of us that live in the community. And I thank you all for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I need to disclose a conflict of interest? I've
No,
attended the
John.
same church with Sandy for the last 40
All right.
years.
All right, thank you.
I think you owe an apology to Mr. Supervisor, to these people.
Okay.
You have been arrogant and rude.
I
I'm
also
waiting for
want
the
to speak about
apology.
the
Everybody's
traffic.
had a chance to speak tonight.
Well, Plymouth
Where's
can't
the
bus
apology?
dri-
John, settle
Grow
down.
up.
Settle down.
Settle down, John.
Settle
Settle
down,
down
John.
now. Petulant child.
Settle down.
You are a petulant
Settle down.
child.
Okay.
Oh, no,
All right,
no,
man.
no, no.
I'm sorry, we're
speak?
taking away from your time, but we're not.
When Plymouth Canton bus drivers report to the bus yard
Where's the
on
apology?
northbound Lily, the following occurs.
Okay, that's it.
They hold up northbound Lily traffic to make the left turn
That's it.
due to the southbound traffic coming the other way. This backs up northbound traffic all the way to Joy Road from the bus yard. This blocks drivers on Ann Arbor Road from turning onto Lily. Or they make half turns onto northbound Lily, which means Lily traffic at Ann Arbor Road can't move forward. This backs up traffic all the way to Joy Road. Drivers on Joy Road cannot turn onto Lily, or they make half turns onto Lily, so that traffic waiting at the light on Lily can't move forward. Then the southbound Lily traffic turns into our sub, and they roar down Hackberry, where there are lots of little kids, to find out that their only exit is Revere. So they back up there, waiting to get back to Lily. This is total gridlock, and it makes it almost impossible to get out of our subdivision. My suggestion is besides turning down the rezoning proposal, is to put a no left turn sign on northbound Lily at the bus yard, and say no to adding another outlet out of the sub, which someone has suggested, which would cost our neighbor to lose her backyard, and again, would just increase the traffic in our sub. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is here tonight, and I'm sure he is
Taking notes.
and he'll review the video afterwards as well, because anytime we can get feedback on signage, traffic signage, lights, turn signals, we love to share that information with the county, because we have to get their permission to do all that. So. Okay, yeah. Oh, I understand, so. Okay, Mr. Pine?
Hi, guys. Bill Pine, 45-year resident. Usually I come here to try to help with analysis and facts. Today I genuinely have questions, and I did not intend to speak today. So, and if you can't, I'm sorry, I'll talk louder. So please take it in that light. Laura, I pride myself on being a gentleman. I'm not picking on you. But one of the questions that came up, that seems to be a recurring question over and over again, and it applies in the case of SPARS, just like it does in a number of other issues, is the role of McKenna as a paid consultant, as our planning department. And the question is, what's their mission? And the questions I had, and I don't have the answers, are what populations is McKenna responding to? Is it the majority of the residents, or is it a few people with a superior vision? What purpose does McKenna serve? Is it social engineering, or the needs of the current population? And who defines what development is? My interpretation, it's just that, is that McKenna's responding to the few, not the many, and that their views are their role as social engineering. I could be wrong. But the ambiguity around this is one of the things that keeps getting repeated over and over again. SPARS is just the latest example. I don't know sickum about SPARS, so I apologize. But it's unfair to the residents of the issue of the moment. It's unfair to businessmen who think they're doing what they're supposed to do when they come with an issue. It's unfair to well-intentioned members of the board not to resolve the ambiguity. Have it called out more clearly so that the role of McKenna and the things that they're supposed to do and bring to the meeting beforehand, so you guys have a chance to know about it, so you guys have a chance to know about it, so you guys have a chance to know about it, I think would be a very constructive thing to do. Like I say, it's a question. And I didn't plan to say anything.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. We're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is the authorization of the early voting site. Mr. Vorba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor and everyone. As everyone knows now, the population of Michigan passed a constitutional amendment which allows for 9 days of early voting. The township does not have a facility for that because all 12 precincts will be voting at one spot for 9 days. We've entered upon a contract to have a place to do that. State law requires that we do a resolution stating that that is the place that we're going to be doing the election and describing the hours. So we're going to be using the western half of Risen Christ Lutheran Church, and people will be hopefully entering in off of McClumpha in the western part of the parking lot. And the hours will be from 9 in the morning till 5 at night. That'll be for 9 days, starting the second weekend before the election. So you'll have a Saturday, Sunday, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday election there, 9 to 5. You will be getting a notice in the mail telling you that, because again, we're required by state law to do that. So tonight, I'm asking, of course, for a resolution that goes to the county, then is sent to the state, recognizing that we have designated a particular place in order to have the 9 days of early voting.
Okay.
Good job, Jerry.
Any other questions for Jerry?
Yeah, you're sure this is the right way to go? It's expensive. $50,000?
Well, you know, Chuck, what's even going to be more expensive is that this is not going away. The legislature has given us all the rules that we have to obey for this, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm charged with. And so some communities have other facilities. You go to Canton, they have you know, like the center where they have all their activities or swimming places. Livonia has those, Westland has those. We don't have those facilities. The only facility we have is this one, and this is where we do our absentee voting. So we got.
Jerry, it's not the only facility. We have others.
Name the other facility.
We've been over this.
We have Friendship Station.
And we've been through that, Chuck.
Do we have any other questions?
I still think you got to look at it closer.
This has been asked and answered and voted on.
Answered.
Well, the answer hasn't been sufficient.
Okay.
Not to you, Chuck. And
Okay.
we know that you're an election denier, so that's all right.
Do we have
Required
any other-
data,
do we have
election
any other
denier.
questions? Do we have any
My
other questions?
goodness, how mouthy we are.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion.
please do.
I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-10-86, authorizing the designated portion of 46250 Ann Arbor Road as the official early voting site for all three elections of 2024, and setting an early voting hours to take place between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. each of those 9 days.
Okay, motion's been made by Clerk Vorba, seconded by Trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Kermy.
No.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Supervisor Heising.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion carries.
Okay, next up is item F3, or G3, I should say, fiscal year 2023 budget adjustments. Before we take action on this, I'm going to ask that we remove the line item entitled contractual sewage disposal, current year budget adjustment by Watua. It's in like 0.3 font, so I'm reading it very closely here. It's in the amount of $838,200. So I'd like that to, I'm gonna pull that one from the list tonight because that is premature. There was a major billing error by Yucca, which is our wastewater treatment facility. We've been underpaying them for the last 5 years. That's the bad news. If there's any good news to this, it's that they're only asking that we repay them for the last 2 years, I believe. And so that number would be, like, that 838 represents sort of a worst-case scenario. I appreciate the fact that the finance director included that here, but I would say that we're going to take some time, the WTUA board is going to take some time to try to whittle that number down, and also get some more direction and detail from Yucca as to where these numbers came from. So I'm hoping that 838 represents a high water mark, and so I would recommend, though, Ms. Cutie, that we put that in our regular 2024 water budget. If nothing else, just as a placeholder for now, okay?
For the benefit of others that are here, tell us what Yucca is.
Yucca is the Ypsilanti Communities Utilities Authority. It's a wastewater treatment plant located in Ypsilanti Township, and it services the WTUA communities, which is the Western Townships Utilities Authority, which services Plymouth, Canton, and Northville Townships, Ypsilanti Township, and several other communities in and around Ypsilanti in Washtenaw County. Okay, so any other questions on any of the other budget amendments?
Yeah, which department the employee left and we have the payout? Wages, vacation, it's...
Police.
Police, okay. So you're new here. I guess I'm beginning to... We're modifying budgets, which is... I know we have to do it to make sure we have a balanced budget, but I think we need to stick to budgets more closely and look for offsets. And I'm hoping that you aspire to that to help us look for offsets when somebody has a budget overrun, that they find an offset somewhere else. That's traditionally what's done in a business. If you have a budget, you just can't amend it. But I know this is not a business.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this?
I didn't hear a response.
Well, of course,
she's going to do her very best. She's
So
a
the answer is
professional.
what? So there is no response? Is it yes?
I said I would
yes,
do my
yeah.
best.
Yeah.
All right, good. I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. Missed it.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, Mr. Dvorba, you got a
Yes,
motion?
I move that the Plymouth Township Board of Trustees hereby adopt Resolution 2023-10-10-87 as amended, taking out the water and sewer fund appropriation, authorizing various fiscal year 2023 budget amendments as outlined in the attached.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Dvorba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Buckley. Mr. Clerk, please.
Before
take
you
the roll.
go ahead, what is the opioid? What is the rules around the opioid settlement?
We are working
How
on.
you can spend it?
We are working on that right now. There's a lot of federal and state rules involved, and actually, I believe Thursday, I am meeting with Finance Director Cutie and Chief Nitel to take a deeper dive into what we can spend it on and what we can't spend it on.
But it's going to be not very.
We're not getting a lot of money. I mean, I know some communities are getting millions of dollars. I think we'll probably get to see, over the next 30 years, it'll probably be about $50,000, you know, it's not a lot.
Is that based on the number of deaths in the community?
It was based on, I think, opioid or drug-related runs during a certain period of time.
So police runs
Police and or fire,
for an overdose or something?
something like that, yeah.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Motion carries.
Okay, we're up to item G4. This is the fiscal year 2024 enterprise budget request. We're focusing tonight on the water budget, senior transportation, and trash, also known as rubbish, in the world of accounting. So we'll be using that word interchangeably. So let's start with the big one, which is water and sewer. We've been working. We have DPW Director Pat Fellrath here with us tonight, and what we're looking at is what Bob has up on the charts right now.
What page would that be in our packet?
It's page 123 of 135. And Patrick, if you could just come forward as well. I don't think there's any showstoppers here that are out of the ordinary. Do you have any capital improvement, any capital purchases, like vehicles or anything like that?
Yeah, under capital, excuse me, good evening. Yes, under.
You got to speak up because you're tall. You're a tall guy and the microphone is short.
Under the capital outlay, capital projects for next year, I think the big ticket items are a water main replacement project that we're proposing along General Drive. That's the current dirt road where the project Plymouth Walk is intended to pave. So currently we have very old, undersized water main along General Drive that we hope to replace next year as part of that project.
For how much do you have in the budget here?
We have a rough estimate right now for $500,000.
I'm trying to find that. What's the GL?
It ends in 970.00537-970, I believe.
970.
That's our capital,
970.
our capital outlay line item.
I got it.
Okay, got it.
So that's on what page, Bob?
125.
So where it says 2024 East Lawn General Drive Water Main Replacement. And it has a budget of $536,000 for year 2024. We have our annual sanitary sewer rehab project that we've been having for the past 4 or 5 years now. That's also budgeted for next year. Vehicle replacements, that's just per schedule in terms of the next oldest vehicles with high mileage. Those are pickups for the DPW field staff. And the other item that we intend to pursue next year, that's under account number 537-931, is the elevated water towers, the coating and lining, maintenance of next year. It's been a while since we've had those lined and coated. We currently have, as I speak, we have the elevated water tower at Lake Point under inspection with a contractor. We're gonna wrap that up. We already had the 5-mile water tank inspected 2 to 4 weeks ago. So I'll have a better handle at what needs to be done with those 2 towers for
We're
next year.
expecting 5 Mile to require repair already.
Rehab,
Rehab.
yes.
Is this epoxy coating on the
Correct.
inside?
Yes. And there's some safety improvements that need to be done.
Where's that again, Patrick? What's the?
This is under 592-537-931.000.
931, okay.
I see it.
These are the periodic rehabilitation of the 2 elevated water towers, and they're based on full-scale inspections that are done by Dixon Engineering.
Okay.
Which was budgeted this year. We did the inspections under that budget item.
As far as staffing goes right now, Patrick, are you fully staffed?
We're short 1 DPW field staff member, and we have a current advertisement out for a service technician 1.
You were down as far as 3 or 4.
Yes, we were down 3 to 4 staff members during the summer.
And that's due to death? We had one death, we had
Correct.
retirement, and then we had 2 guys leave for greener pastures, I guess.
Correct, and we have the 2 field members are still in their probationary period.
Okay.
For recent hires. Let's see what else, other than that, those are the big ticket items, that's proposed for next year.
How much do you have in here for smart meter planning or engineering or other spending?
I do not have, any specific AMI, type items projected in this budget. We do have a general, engineering assistance item, but that hasn't changed. That's just as needed engineering. That's an important item that we always have in the budget for situations and issues.
That's generally the company in Rochester Hills or that does
No,
our
this
water
could be-
engineering.
These could be any of our qualified engineers.
All right.
So this could be SDA, HRC, OHM.
HRC
or
is the
any
one.
type of professional engineering firm that we come to you, you know. But that's not different from any previous years. So going back to AMI, there's nothing in here specific to AMI. Under the.
Well, how much do you intend to spend in the 2024 on AMI?
Well, that depends on the direction from this board at the end of this year. We hope to have a recommendation, presentation as a result of the recent board authorization for a financial analysis of AMI. We hope to present those results to you. And at that time, I think we'll have a better understanding as to proceed or not to proceed, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's our biggest
AMI.
water investment in decades. It might be, if it turns out to be 5 million, it'll be the biggest water investment in a very long time.
Yeah, keep in mind, the majority of that cost is for a water meter replacement, which has to be done
Regardless, yeah.
in the short term.
Okay. Again, my recommendation to finance would be to put that 838,000 for Yucca that we just took out tonight, just put that in the 24 budget, and we'll just use it as a placeholder for now.
Is it in this water budget right now?
No, it's not.
No.
It was.
But you're gonna have higher rates next year, you think? Or the mistake is a look back only, it's not going to affect futures?
No, the money for all the three communities are going to have to pay their proportionate share, and that we hope that we're working to get that number reduced by some.
But that's
by moving-
that's arrears.
By moving around, yeah.
But what I'm trying to understand is, once that arrears gets corrected, if they've discovered a mistake, does that mean our sewage treatment price will index up because they found the error?
I think not.
And if that's the case,
I think not.
what are we doing here?
I think the answer is
not.
no.
And I don't know what's going to happen to water and sewer rates next year. I mean, we just had an adjustment a couple of months ago, so.
So we forecasted 2.37 million or 2.3 million for the cost of sewage next year, and that compares to 1.95 actual 21-22. So I think it was comprehended in. It seemed like it was an increase in volume, but it was in reality the backward look of the billing mistake. So I think, but
So we're covered with what we tentatively think, and the finance director will confirm that?
Yeah, we don't know with certainty, but I think we're,
Looks close. But we also cannot predict what water and sewer rates are going to look like in 2024 because most of those factors beyond our control, the biggest one being the Great Lakes Water Authority and what they're going to charge us. We are always charging less than what GLWA bills us. And one of the great things is that we're no longer in the Wayne County Detroit sewer system. So we've just realized impressive savings over the last 5 years because of, frankly, the decision that the board made back in the 1980s to go it alone and build their own sewer system.
And the 2000s. That's when we added the sewage treatment capacity at YCUA and Ypsilanti.
we've kept it going to match economic conditions and growth patterns within the communities. So Patrick, any other showstoppers or any other deltas that we need to worry about? I think we've isolated a couple, but pretty much this is a pretty standard budget for you, Pat. I don't.
Yeah, there wasn't, I mean, there's potential for carryover, that stuff that was budgeted for this year.
Sure.
That'll have to be carried over to next year.
Give me an example, like vehicles, for example?
Well, we have that, it's called distribution system inventory. This is where we have to dig up people's service lines to field verify
Lead.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Lead.
Well, I mean,
backdrop is lead, but.
It's a lead inspection.
It is, but
that's a
it's-
state, that's a state mandate.
State mandate. How many have you done?
We've done roughly 100.
And what's the feeling of the residents? I get
And
people
we're trying to
asking
do
me a lot of
as-
questions.
Yeah, we're trying to do as much in-house as we can, and that's why we haven't gone out for bid at this point, because we are making progress. You know, not too much pushback. I mean, we frankly have to tell them we have to do this under federal law, and it's under the guise of really maintaining our curb stop, which is a valve that the township has to maintain anyway. So that's where we're digging up, is the actual curb stop valve location.
But you can't use your water for 6 or 8 hours.
No.
That's
we
what the
don't-
letter is that the
we-
person showed me.
No, we do not turn off the water. We specifically say in the letter that service is not interrupted. So you might be confusing with a cross-connection control program letter or something to that effect.
They showed
but
me a letter, and
we specifically say that no water is interrupted.
Okay. Okay, anything else budget-wise? Liz, nothing else that we're missing here? Okay. Let's move on to the other two enterprise funds, so that would be the senior bus. Really nothing to report there. Carol, you're over there, so you wanna move over this way, because, no, I need somebody at the podium.
Yeah, both of you.
I need people at the podium.
Yeah.
So with respect to the senior bus program, I would just remind everybody that the city of Plymouth pays probably in the neighborhood of 65 to 68% of this bill, because we manage this program on behalf of both communities. So the only difference or change that we'll be seeing next year will be the use of the two new senior vans and the sale of the two senior buses. So other than that, Liz, is there anything else that I'm missing? But it's pretty straightforward. It's people and gas and
Yeah,
overhead.
there's nothing.
do we need to
Overly
adjust any of the
unusual.
rates?
No.
It's still, is it $2 a ride?
It's $2 a ride, and then it varies as further out you go.
Further out you go, could be
So,
more.
you know, we make those adjustments periodically, and we haven't done a fair adjustment probably in about 2 years. Probably since COVID started, we didn't want to rock the boat any
So
further.
what percentage of the cost is borne by user fee?
It's not a lot. I would
No.
probably say it's 10 to 15%.
So it's heavily subsidized.
Heavily,
Absolutely,
Heavily,
yeah.
yes.
It's a service that we perform. We also get credits from SMART, even though we are not we're not in the SMART transportation system. We do get credits from SMART. We also, I believe we also get some CDBG money from the county as well.
Yeah.
So,
That's Community Block Grant is what he's saying,
Yep.
CBDG.
CBDG. Okay, Liz, anything else on that? Any other questions on the bus program? The senior bus? Okay. So then finally, trash. We just had a new contract with GFL last year. I don't see any, unless I'm reading this wrong, I thought I saw there that the cost is actually, the budget cost is actually going down by 2.1%. Did I?
We had 3 budget amendments.
Did I read that the right way? Carol, you want to address that? You got to come up here, because we got to hear you and see you.
So I think we had 3 budget amendments because of a storm on
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
September 5th or whatever.
An ice
So
storm.
So we had more, well, no, September 5th is what it said, which was, I didn't know we had a storm then, but I guess we did.
So we're dropping 2% from 24 to 25.
Yes.
That's based on what the amended budget is currently. So there was a couple of storm expenditures. And I think there's one in this budget amendment which hasn't hit here. So there isn't any other really major changes to this from year to year.
Well, 2023 had a lot of unexpected expenses for tree brush pickup.
Right.
Probably over $100,000.
Yep.
Yeah, that's been amended. That's in there.
So that's why, a good reason why we should go down next year, hoping we don't have storms.
Well,
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, yes, kind of, no, kind of.
Well, she said 2%.
I guarantee you, we will have a storm next year. I'm 100% certain of that. I don't know when, I don't know how bad it's gonna be, but we will have one.
We have a storm.
So that's a bridge we'll have to cross after we have the storm, if we have to amend or not.
But basically, our rates are baked into the GFL contract, so we're really, there's, again, I use that term showstoppers. I don't think there's anything in there that's new or different or unusual, and it's a pretty standard budget as far as trash goes. Okay. All right, any other questions for Carol or Liz on this?
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And again, we'll be voting on all these things in November when we do our annual budget. All righty then, public comment, limited to 3 minutes.
As you guys know, I helped re-elect you. I helped elect you, Mr. Heisey. We had a database, and we didn't share it with Bob Dershevitz, we didn't share it with Fermi, we didn't share it with any of you. And we still have that database. We didn't share that.
What'd you just say about me?
We had a database when we helped elect you. Remember?
Yeah, I had a database too.
We never shared it with any of you guys.
I had my own database.
I'm sorry, I
Paid good
can't
money
hear
for
you.
it. So, okay.
But we did not share that with you, and I don't believe these people should have to share theirs. And I do not have any access to these petitions, so I wish you would quit harassing me and putting that stuff up on the internet about me, because it's a bunch of damn lies. And I don't appreciate it one bit, Kurt. Putting up a Facebook page trashing me.
I know what you're talking about, so.
What?
It's not my
You don't know what I'm
responsibility.
talking about. You sure
It's
do.
not my responsibility, sir. If you want to.
You took stuff off my Facebook page.
Okay,
Posted it.
just go. You've blocked me on everything, so I can't read it.
You're damn right I did.
Okay, stop swearing. Okay, anybody else? All right, very good. Let's move on to board comments. Let's start with John Stewart. John?
I want to thank the citizens for coming tonight. I want to thank you for waiting to speak with your well-prepared comments. I'm dismayed that 31-year trustee Charles Kermey has indicated that this meeting tonight is nothing like she's seen in 31 years.
31 years.
I'm dismayed that we have almost had a 3-hour meeting and missed something extremely important. A moment of silence for Israel. Adonai, Adonai, Adonai. That is a Hebrew word for Lord, Lord, Lord. Mass murders of thousands occurred in the last 24 hours, and there are well over 20 U.S. hostages. I would ask you for your prayers. I believe that the citizen and elected official relationship is just like in my law office, master and client. The client, the citizen, is the master, and I am to be the servant. Thank you very much and good night.
Okay. Trustee Buckley.
Yeah, I guess on that note, I'm just going to take a moment to say, I mean, we're watching all this unfold in Israel, the fighting and everything. Just a recommendation that maybe we could just tone it down here on the board and just get back to some civility. and just, you know, proper discourse. We're not going to affect any change unless we can just talk to one another in a respectful manner, and citizens included. I had my first veterans meeting, gosh, a couple weeks ago. All 8 members of the 9 were sworn in. We established a schedule, 3rd Monday of every month until we get established, since this is brand new for those of you that don't know. Our first order of business is SAVE training. So SAVE training, I can't tell you exactly what it stands for, but one of the members works for the VA, and he has
Oh, sorry about that.
arranged for us
Your 3 minutes,
to,
yeah, time is
yeah.
up. Yeah. Sorry about that, boss.
He's arranged for us to have a Zoom meeting with a leader from the VA that's going to help us understand the signs and warnings for soldier suicide. On that note, I'm not able to form a committee fast enough for this Veterans Day, but we will be doing an informal ruck march from the Veterans Ceremony in downtown Plymouth. If you don't know what a ruck march is, basically it is a pack on your back that soldiers would wear in training, helps to keep them conditioned and ready for war. And so in doing that, my husband, who works for the Royal Oak Police Department, will be participating in their official one that they do every year. The original one is 22 miles. And that is for the 22 soldiers that are commit suicide on a daily basis, okay? And so we would do a pared down version to 2.2 miles. We've already kind of, my husband and I were driving around trying to figure out the course, but having said that, I think it's just too ambitious to do anything super formal this year because we'd have to coordinate with the city. So my husband and I will be out there. What's the official name at the War Memorial?
Veterans War Memorial.
Okay. And my kiddos, and so we'll be rucking. Orange is usually the color that you wear for soldier suicide. And then on that same vein, it's funny because we just were mapping out the area, and my husband got a call that a soldier had committed suicide in Royal Oak in a park by an elementary school. So he was a 70-year-old man, which is the irony of that, you know, it's like I've lived so long. So the hope is that we can get the VFW and American Legion. Obviously not everyone can do a ruck march, but you can just walk, you know, just to come together in solidarity. Yeah, and so our next meeting, we're actually going to have to move our October meeting to November just because the use of the room is not available. So keep us in your prayers,
Yeah.
especially those of us that still have people serving as this war breaks out. Okay, I have a son in the Marine Corps right now at Camp Pendleton, so please keep him in your prayers.
Yeah, we certainly will. I was going to mention, I didn't know you were going to mention that, but you do have a son in the Marines right now, and so is he still stateside?
Yeah,
Is
he's
that
a
what
lag gunner, low altitude air defense gunner, Stinger missiles, and he just got a promotion. He's 19 years old and just became an NCO.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we certainly will keep him in our thoughts and prayers as this situation unfolds. Bob?
I don't have much to add, but I do echo that. I do appreciate getting feedback from the community. I get a lot, I try to answer every email, every letter that I get. And I do appreciate when people come out. I do also appreciate, civility, and sometimes it's if you're on that side of the table, you're not, fully, we take it for granted because we're so fully immersed in the way the processes work. But, every applicant gets their day to be heard. And so I just kind of, listen to what people have to say. But just because somebody makes an application to do something in the township doesn't mean that the township is the sponsor of that. they're property owners and they have the legal right to be heard. And so, so I appreciate that, the input and I try to make assessments based on, what the community wants, represent the constituents, not the developers or not anybody else, just the people that put me here.
Okay. Chuck?
When is the plan to have the track come to a vote of the board?
I would hope before the end of the calendar year.
So it'll be this calendar year?
Yeah. The PUD, which was approved in February, the PUD concept, I believe that expires on its own in February if no agreement can be reached. And I think we've, well, if they can agree to these latest rounds of requests, we may see something before the end of the year.
But it won't be this month, October.
Now, I highly doubt that. All right. I can't guarantee that, but I doubt it. All set?
Yeah.
Do we have another meeting?
Yeah, we do. I'll talk about that in a sec. So, Audrey?
Yeah, I just want us to keep in the prayers the people that are fighting for their freedoms and to remember that we all have the freedoms because other people fought for them in our country. And I thank everyone who had the courage to do that. There are times when I think to myself, my problem is so large. Can you imagine what's going on there now? And the mothers that lost their babies, and people who are kidnapped, and particularly Americans. It's devastating. It's affected me all weekend. I couldn't even sleep. Because we don't live in just a one little section of the world. We're all integrally weaved together. And we have to thank God for the luxury that we have every day to come up, get in the shower, go to work, and not have to worry about rockets being flown, whatever direction you're in. So I just want to thank again the people and your son who are courageous young men and women and some older men and women that have fought for our freedoms, and I don't take that for granted. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Jerry Vorva.
Yes, again, I know that everybody here, our prayers are going out to the people in Israel. It's a horrific thing that's going on there, and I hope that we, as a country, as a people, seek to find resolutions to those types of events and stand behind our allies 100%. One thing I wanted to point out was a lot of you have been receiving this document. This is a large document that's being sent out by the Center for Voter Information. This is not coming from your government. This is from a 501c3 that is seeking to register people to vote. And so a lot of people are getting these and you're already registered to vote. So it's a mass mailing. So if you're registered to vote, you are. We've been getting a lot of calls. Well, I thought I was registered, or they've been giving them to us. And we check and confirm, of course, for everyone. But this is not coming from the government here or the state governments. It's coming from a 501c3. And so don't be alarmed that you're getting it. It's just a mass because it's going to a current resident, even though it may have your name on it even. They'll know who you are, so it's just voter information that they have, and so they're doing mass mailings. If you want to call us to see that you're registered, you are. It doesn't hurt to call, but we're not sending these out, okay? And so, and thank you to everyone who came and spoke today, and I do appreciate the people who came in and supplied us with a petition. I thought that was very nice, and it's very impactful when we have real names attached to issues. So thank you very much.
Jerry, could you brief us on the presidential primary in February?
Yes.
So that is definitely happening now.
It's definitely happening. on the 27th. The legislature moved it up. However, they didn't have immediate effect. And that means they didn't have enough votes, like a supermajority. So laws in Michigan come into effect. They either have to have immediate effect, that means a supermajority of people voting for it, or 90 days after the session ends. Well, February 27th is usually not 90 days past when the session usually ends in December. So they're going to retire early in order to eclipse the 90 days. So there will be an election on the 27th, and you go back, remember, 2 weekends, and early voting will be starting then. And then applications for the election will be going out in the middle of December, so you can expect to receive an application. Now, with this application, you have to choose your ballot style. It means you've got to choose a Republican or a Democrat. We don't register people as a Republican or Democrat, but you have to choose a ballot style, okay? So that means you're going to get the ballot that you requested. Now, once you have done that, from here on out, the fact that you have requested a ballot, in the future, you will receive a ballot automatically. For each one of the other elections, you don't have to request anymore, but there's a box for you to check. So you have to make sure you check all the boxes on there. One, I want to be on the permanent list. Yes, I want a ballot every time. And so once you've done that, you will receive a ballot every time. Now, the only time that you will receive another application, if you're already on that list, is the next presidential election, where you have to choose a ballot style, the Republican or the Democrat one. And so you'll be receiving those in the mail the middle of December, but hopefully by then, I will have that second drop box that I've ordered. Hopefully it will come in time, and that will be at the church also. They have a circular drive right off of McClumpha. You can go in there and drop your application in there. You can drop your ballot in there. Any communication that touches or concerns election will go in there. And then we'll have, of course, our drop box out front here. And so that will, as soon as you get those, the sooner you fill those out and get them back to me, the easier it is for us to process everything. Because bear in mind, as I mentioned last time, at the 40-day mark, anyone who has not responded to me, I have to call you. I have to email you. I have to send you a letter. And that usually is thousands of people who have not responded at the 40-day mark. So it's going to be a real chore to do all that stuff. We're going to do it because we have to do it. It's the state law. But if you would please be very diligent, remind your neighbors and friends, if you get that application, get it in right away so that we can process it and not have to call you. And then we will send you a ballot when we receive the ballots.
Are we going to have the 9-day voting before the presidential primary in February?
Yes.
Okay.
Jerry,
will
100% of the registered voters receive an application?
No, just the ones who are on the list.
All right.
So right now, that's about a little over, almost 13,000 people. And anybody that requests it in between now and then. I mean, this right here has on it, I want to receive a ballot.
So if I'm on the list, I get an application, I fill out that application, I send it in, and then I'm going to continue to get a ballot automatically. And
from going that forward, unless you remove yourself from it, you move, you die.
Forever, for all elections?
For all elections. The only time you're going to get an application again is where you have to make that designation every 4 years for a ballot style of a Republican or a Democrat. And that's unless
only in the presidential primary where you're making that designation.
Because if you don't, okay, let me clear this up. If the state doesn't do that, the next time I would send you a Republican or a Democrat one when you may have changed your mind.
But it's every 4 years the presidential. So you're going to get in the gubernatorial election 2 years later, you're going to get a ballot automatically.
Exactly. And the hazard is if when people move, I'm gonna have to, unless I get notified, I gotta send a ballot to that address.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, we
creates
all,
the potential for fraud. We're very diligent here, I want you to know. We check signatures. Our people are trained very well, and we check signatures. Last presidential election, we had 500 ballots where someone either didn't sign it, that happens, people forget, they drop it in the mail, or or in the ballot box, or drop it in the box up here, and they didn't sign. We call them or we email them. That's why we ask for your phone number or email. We don't send that out. That's private information. It's just for us to use. We don't give that out to everybody else. It's excluded from FOIA. And so that way we can get a hold of you, because if not, we have to send you a letter. We had 500 people who either we didn't recognize the signature or they didn't sign it. We sent everybody contact. 250 people came in, 250 people didn't. Those ballots were rejected, okay? Now the new law requires me to hold those for 6 days and continue to try to contact you so that you can come in and cure the issue that we have with the ballot. And that's just more work for us, but that's the state law, and we're going to obey the state law. And but in a situation where you have a close election, that could change the balance of you won't know on election day. If there's a close election, you won't know the results, because you've got that 6 days that you have to cure that issue. Also, when you receive your ballot, postage paid coming back, okay? So you don't have to post it. That's another additional cost that this rule has. So on the envelope that you return, the postage is paid. Now, that's gonna seem crazy for those of you who just drop it in the box and not mail it, but it's gonna be, so when it gets processed through the mail, they're gonna send a bill to hopefully the state, not me. That's the way that's gonna work. But you're going to receive a notice from me about the early election. We have to mail out that 24,100 pieces of mail to notify you where to go vote. And please, tell your friends and family that that's where you're going to do that from 9 to 5, okay?
Okay. Wow, I'm almost sorry I asked that question.
Yes, you are.
It's pretty lengthy.
I was half as sorry as I am.
And man, I don't want to pile on, but I know that for the Democrats, February 27th is the whole thing, okay? For the Republicans, it's going to be bifurcated, so there's going to be a proportion. Republicans will have a chance to vote on February 27th, and also they'll have the opportunity to participate in a county, a district-wide caucus on, I believe, Saturday, March 2nd.
Yes.
And now I just want to make it clear that the township does not have any role in that caucus process.
We have
We don't know
nothing to do
where
with
it's
that.
going to happen, when it's going to happen. So, I mean, certainly people can call here, but we're not in charge of that.
Well, that's the local
At all.
Republican Party and precinct delegates.
That's the district committee, I would assume,
Right.
but, who knows? Okay, thanks again, Jerry.
Yeah,
Wow.
you bet.
October 24th is our next meeting. We have our normal budget public hearing. That's our mandatory budget public hearing. And that's not the night that we approve the budget, but that's the night where we have the public hearing. We'll also be adopting our 2024 meeting schedule. I can't guarantee other things that are going to be on there. We've got some easements and things, minor items like that. We are going to have a closed session, though, that night. So be aware that will be after the conclusion of the meeting, and that is on the Lascos case. And I don't want to get into any detail publicly, but
This is in the police department?
it is a police matter, and the chief will be there, as well as our attorneys from the insurance carrier. Otherwise, I want to thank the folks who came here tonight from SPARS. I think that was a great example of how to present your case thoughtfully and effectively. I agree with Trustee Buckley. I think that was done in a very professional manner. I'll call you out, Wendy. Wendy is the chairwoman of our Historic District Commission, so she knows how to chair meetings. And they're not as, the Historic District Commission's pretty tame, though, I gotta say. It's usually not as raucous as these are. But thank you again for your thoughtful comments, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have this meeting tonight with you and the developers, so that we could learn more about the situation, that we can make a better decision. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Mr. Borba, is there a second? Second by Trustee Monahan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.